has begun. Destiny has brought us here.
Will you be joining me?
I'm in. Prepare for epic reveals.
What have you done, Witcher?
Raise a toast to our special guests.
Brilliant. Geralt's usually so stingy with the details.
Welcome to WitcherCon.
La WitcherCon.
Winds
Alors,
howling.
normalement, on va tout laisser comme ça.
And welcome to the first ever WitcherCon.
C'était
My name's
l'animatrice
Julia
de
Hardy,
Xbox.
and I'm going to be your host for today. And I was trying to summarize and put into words
Vous vous rappelez?
just what it means.
Elle
to me,
animait les
to be the
événements
host of
Xbox
today's
fut un
events.
temps.
But then I realized if I did put it into words, it would just be the sound that only a dog could hear. So yeah, I'm just going to try and keep my cool today, but it is going to be a little bit challenging, not going to lie.
Alors,
Over the next few hours, I'll be taking you on a
Oula.
whirlwind journey through the world
Les
of The
heures à
Witcher,
venir.
together with Netflix
Je
and
sens que ça
CD
va durer
Projekt
genre
Red. And I can
hardcore
promise
longtemps.
you that there's going to be tons of sneak peeks,
un
never
maximum de
before heard
révélations,
stories
d'anecdotes
and special
exclusives,
guests.
d'invités spéciaux.
Don't forget to share your
Allez.
favourite moments with us throughout the show, though,
Allez.
using the hashtag WitcherCon. Let's just get started. I think that's what we need to do, right? So
Bah
we
oui, allez, on
wouldn't be
commence.
here without Andrzej Sapkowski, who
Allez.
obviously created the beloved Witcher world. Now, sadly, he can't join us in the studio today, but he did send us this personal message. So
Un
he
petit
says,
message.
It gives me great pleasure to welcome all Witcher enthusiasts,
L'auteur.
fans of the books, the TV series, and the video games
C'est
to
clair
the
que son
virtual
œuvre,
WitcherCon convention.
Sapkowski,
I'm sure
elle
that
a
we'll all have grand fun, and when
pris
these challenging
énormément
times are
d'ampleur.
finally
Il y a eu un moment,
over,
il y a
we'll
eu
meet
un
again
petit-
at WitcherCon, which is
Un petit fight avec CD Projekt, mais ils se sont entendus
Without further
sur la
ado,
répartition
let's get started.
des sous.
Kicking us off is our house band, the amazing Marcin
Alors.
Pibivovic and Percival, who you might know as the musical masterminds responsible for the Witcher game soundtracks. Take it away, guys.
Allez, c'est parti. La musique. Eh bien, c'était classe. Belle ouverture d'événement. Bah oui, exactement, le ton est donné. Allez, le premier panel. Véritable sorceleur. Ah, on apprécie les surprises.
So,
Ils sont
joining the
géniaux.
cast this season in the role of Lambert, a Witcher not to be messed with, here's Paul Bullion. How you doing, Paul?
Hi, I'm very good, thank you.
Yeah.
It's
Salut,
fun,
Paul.
look forward to this.
I feel like I need to shout a bit over there. Hey.
C'est vrai
Hello.
qu'il a l'air d'être à
We can't
30
wait to
millions
see
de
what this
kilomètres.
enigmatic Nilfgaardian mage has in store for us in season 2. Fringilla herself, Mimi M. Kaiser.
Hello.
How you doing?
Salut Mimi.
It's really good to be here.
I'm slightly intimidated, actually.
Why?
I don't know.
Elles ont de très jolies
Don't be
robes, hein,
intimidated,
en
but
tout
chill.
cas.
Look at my fan.
Look at that.
Casual.
Oh.
Casual mischief, love it.
Classe.
Okay, a powerful sorceress,
Le petit
defender of
éventail.
the Northern Kingdoms and beloved by Geralt.
Alors, attendez.
Here's our Yennefer of
Je vais faire-
Wengerberg
je
and
vais faire un truc quand même.
Yogyakarta. Hi.
Je vais faire
Hello.
How you doing? I do feel
Yennefer quand même.
We should give her a clap because we all know Jennifer loves
Voilà.
a good clap. Yeah, I do.
inappropriate
Thank you.
moment.
I was waiting for it.
Is that what's going to happen to you for like the end of time? Just
Oh,
Yeah,
je vais
yeah,
me
yeah.
mettre-
Well, I
je vais
hope
me mettre
so.
là.
Princess
Oh, elle a pas l'air d'avoir kiffé plus que ça,
Witcher in
là.
training. It's our Siri, Freya
Siri,
Allen.
bien
Hey,
sûr, Freya
Hello.
Allen.
How you doing?
Good.
Good to have you here. This is great. We've got everyone.
Est-ce que vous avez regardé la
Wait.
série? Parce que donc là, ce sont les
One more person
actrices
we need to introduce.
de
And
la série
finally,
Netflix. Hein.
The woman at the heart of Netflix
Voilà.
is The Witcher. Showrunner and executive producer
Laura
Lauren Schmidt-Hisrig. How you doing,
Hisrig.
Lauren?
Voilà,
I'm
je sais.
good. I'm great. I'm really nervous. This is not what I normally do as a writer.
No, we're just having a bit of a chat. I know that there's like all these
Et
cameras
alors,
here, but you know, just
on va
having
faire
a
un
bit of
petit
chat.
sondage
I'm a bit
pendant
of a
qu'elles sont en
nerd,
train
it's fine,
de
don't worry.
discuter.
Great. Okay, it's all good.
Avez-vous
I think we should see
apprécié
what the cards have in store of us. So welcome
saison
to
1
the Deck of
de
Destiny.
The Witcher?
I was told to shuffle them, but
Sur
I'm wearing like
Netflix.
nails today, and this is really problematic.
Oui.
I'm not gonna lie.
Voilà.
So basically, instead of
Un
kind of running
classique.
through, a list of kind of generic questions to our esteemed guests, I'm going to be choosing fan questions from random from the Deck of Destiny.
Ah, sympa,
so
ça.
the contents of this deck are
Ok,
as
des
much
petites
a mystery
questions
to me
au
as they are
hasard,
to you,
comme
but
ça,
the
là.
cards are going to reveal a surprise or two, I think. So let's do the first card. Right, hold on,
Ah
let me
bah
get this the
clairement,
right
vous
way
avez
round.
apprécié.
Come on. Okay,
89%
right, the
pour
first
l'instant
card.
avec
Okay.
730 voix.
So this fan is clearly
Alors.
hungry for a little bit of a season 2 scoop. So Lauren, actually, why don't you take this one? How did you approach the relationship between Geralt and the other witches at Kaer Morhen? Because, you know, it's like the homestead. You know, what's going on?
It is the homestead. You know, so much of what we talk about in The Witcher is about family. And so that's where we started this relationship with. Henry had Henry Cavill. Maybe you've heard of him.
I mean, don't think we need to use surnames at this point, honestly.
Henri Cavill qui sera dans
Henry
l'émission,
actually
mais
comes
un
from a
petit peu
family
plus
of
tard.
brothers.
On
So
a vu
it's
sur le
something that
programme.
we talked about a lot and what it is like to be part of a big family. He also comes from a military family. So we talked a lot about the Witchers being almost like a military family. They all go out, they sort of do, they have their own adventures. It's really dangerous. You never know if your brothers are going to come back home or not. But when they do, when they reunite every single winter, that's when they get to relax and just be themselves. So one of the most fun things that we did, and Paul can speak to this a little bit too, is just to make sure that they feel like, you know, like actual brothers. They roughhouse a lot. They give each other a lot of... Am I allowed to say curse words? A lot of stuff.
En tout cas, vous êtes unanime, hein, vous êtes déjà plus d'un millier à avoir voté, et à 89% vous avez aimé la première saison. Donc a priori, si vous êtes là, c'est que vous avez envie d'en savoir plus sur la suite.
Okay.
Allez, on y
So,
retourne.
Paul, what was it like to, to be kind of involved in that, to kind of be brought into Kaer Morhen and in that sort of Witcher, you know, thrown in season 2?
It was quite surreal because I actually watched season 1 when it was released, knowing that I was going to be joining in season 2, which was strange but exciting. And so to step into Kaer Morhen in season 2 and brought into the fold, and that way everyone was really welcoming. And like Lauren touched on there, Henry brought me into the conversation about how the Witchers were like a band of Navy SEALs. And he would say, he would.
Did you bond? Do you have a bromance with Henry?
Juste pour votre information, et après je les laisse parler, pour ceux qui débarquent, il y a plusieurs panels, plusieurs tables rondes. Là, c'est vraiment sur la série. Il y en a un autre sur le jeu, sur les jeux, sur les coulisses de la création de The Witcher, etc. Donc ça va parler des jeux ensuite.
Family through shared experiences.
That's super adorable.
Yeah.
I'm super into it.
It was good fun.
Okay. Say, on the back of that,
Yeah.
so we weren't in any scenes together.
Yeah.
But I would normally be in the morning after all the guys had been in.
Did it have a certain
And
muff
you would get
in
the
air?
stories of what...
And it was really fun for me because I was like the only girl amongst these guys. And it was hysterical. Like getting to be with you guys all day.
It was great.
It was quite funny.
And from walking on set, and Freya would always have this look because you knew she was going to be like teasing and joining in with the fun. And I'd walk in and I could just feel Freya looking. I'd look over, I'd go, here we go. We've got a full day of this.
Our like how we are in real life is just like our characters.
I'm fully getting that vibe, actually. I'm fully getting that vibe.
Honestly, taking out of them.
No, we love that.
Yeah,
love a
it's
bit of
lot
that.
of fun.
Okay, so this one is for Anya. This one's for you, okay? So, which monster would you most like to kiss? No, I'm just kidding, that's not really the question. Which is the one trait... Sorry. Which is the one trait about your character's personality that you kind of absolutely love?
I'd have to say, where there's a will, there's a way with her. She is a survivor, and I love that about her. That would be my favourite.
Yeah.
There's lots. There's many traits I love. We've become quite similar, I think.
Yeah.
D'ailleurs, quel serait un peu votre personnage féminin de The Witcher préféré dans le chat? Dites-moi un petit peu. Vous seriez plutôt Ciri? Vous seriez plutôt Yennefer?
So it might not be a physical book that we keep a log or journal.
Ça a l'air d'être Triss, ouais.
Always check in with each other in terms of where we are.
Ça se bat pas mal entre Yennefer et Ciri. Il y a beaucoup de Yennefer là. Beaucoup de Yennefer.
We're not at that point of the story yet. We can fully immerse ourselves in what the truth is of that. And so I think a lot of us are very conscious of constantly checking in with each other to say, well, we're here in this relationship, or and even working with Eamon sometimes, you'll do a scene, he'll be like, I'm not there yet. No, that's next ep.
Of course he does.
Not there yet.
That's the level
He does.
Love it.
No. And I'm like, I was the only one in that scene. What do you mean we're not there yet? Excuse me.
Oh, amazing. Okay, we have another question now on the deck of destiny. Okay, so we've actually kind of struck gold here because this is actually a Gwent card from, the Witcher card game. So we can actually take a look here. We can see our Sunset Wanderers there. Look at that. Delightful. So this one, I believe it's
d'un nouveau monstre de la saison 2.
Can you give us a sneak peek of a monster from season 2? Just one little one, please.
Well, we weren't really meant to be giving away any little sneak peeks, but...
What? Why am I here?
Ah bah si.
Seeing as we've waited so long because of the world stopping, I think it's only fair that we give the first little sneak peek of one of the first monsters in season 2.
Un des premiers monstres de la saison 2, le Lecci. Allez, on le découvre ensemble. C'est parti, on regarde.
You guys are such teasers with your teasers. It's ridiculous. It's a
Ah ouais!
or something. What? No,
Ah ouais! Quand ils avaient dit teasing, ils rigolaient pas. C'est vraiment du teasing à fond, quoi. Ah ouais. Oh, c'est ça, on a vu une branche. C'est Groot. c'est Groot qui se débarque. Ah ouais, ça c'est le teasing de chez teasing. Moi je m'attendais à une petite séquence, tu vois, alors 2 secondes. Eh ben non. Hein? C'est comme ça, un bras.
I mean, for Ciri,
Allez Ciri,
whatever
nous t'écoutons.
she possesses inside her is a very scary thing for her, and so she's not keen to start kind of confronting it. But I think you see that as time goes on and she's introduced to the right people, she realizes that actually it's far more beneficial to try and control whatever this is that she has than run away from it.
Yeah.
Which is what she's been doing for a lot of the time. But yeah, you're definitely going to get to see a lot of Ciri's potential in many different ways.
Yeah, I think actually also, I just want to draw attention to, obviously we've got some amazing fan art that's kind of happening behind. So if you actually take a look at this one, this is all the way from Hungary. I mean, I have to say as actors, how often, you don't get drawn when you do other shows or whatever, do you know what I mean? It must be really fun to kind of see all this art.
There's some amazing artwork, wow, yeah. And even just seeing that, a reminder, there's so much as well. Yeah.
It's just amazing to see how many people are inspired. And specifically what characters they're inspired by.
Yeah.
It is, obviously the show is called The Witcher, but it's been fun as the person who sits back and has sort of been having these characters in my mind for so long to see how different people all over the world relate to, all of these characters.
And I've never known.
J'ai une petite question pour vous, les amis. De temps en temps, comme ça, je vous questionnerai. Et en plus, maintenant, je peux vous mettre des petits sondages à la cool. Je sais, alors attention à ce que je vais dire. Je sais que ce sont 2 séries différentes, mais elles partagent, on va dire, un socle fantasy, un socle d'intrigue assez dur. Je parle évidemment de The Witcher et de Game of Thrones. Eh ben, c'est laquelle votre préférée? Quelle est votre... Entre ces 2 séries, Quel est votre préféré? C'est intéressant. The Witcher, Game of Thrones. Boom. On est d'accord, ce sont des séries différentes. Je suis bien d'accord. Mais vous avez compris l'idée. C'est le cadre général, etc. On va voir ce que ça donne. Alors, bah écoutez, pour l'instant, regardez, c'est bien plus serré qu'on ne pourrait l'imaginer, avec déjà 630 votes là en quelques instants à peine. C'est du 50-50 quand même. Sur 723 voix, c'est du 50-50. Et ouais, c'est compliqué, hein. Ah, Game of Thrones qui commence doucement mais sûrement. Eh non, regardez, 864 voix. Alors, ceux qui disent c'est pas comparable, évidemment c'est différent. C'est pour ça que je l'ai dit dès le début. Mais vous voyez ce que je veux dire? C'est comparer par exemple les univers, etc. C'est quand même... C'est pas si totalement éloigné que ça. Et là, quand je parle de la série, je parle de la série Netflix, mais je parle de l'univers de The Witcher, avec les jeux, etc., évidemment. Et regardez, c'est The Witcher hein, qui est en train de l'emporter. 1060 votes, et ça y est, il passe devant 51%. Eh oui. On va voir, le sondage est toujours dispo, vous pouvez voter à tout moment. Regardez, il y a plein de gens qui disent sans hésiter l'univers de The Witcher. Personnellement, l'univers de The Witcher, moi, me plaît plus que l'univers de Game of Thrones. Je parle pas forcément des intrigues, des machins, etc. L'univers à proprement parler.
We call her Fringy for short. And that's when we're feeling really endearing towards her. I would genuinely have days where I would read the scripts of things that she does sometimes, and my heart would break for her. Because I think there is a thing when you're an actor playing a character, you fall in love with them. And everything they do, even the worst things, you completely sympathize and want to cover them and be like, it's okay, we're going to get through that awful thing you did.
Well, I suppose you sort of have to, right, to understand the character, you have to understand the motivation.
Yeah, and also like the pain that you must be in to do that. And then I'd be like, oh my God, put the sword down.
Et alors, je vois des gens dire, mais comment tu peux comparer une série qui a 10 ans à une série qui a 1 an? Alors, les amis, je veux pas vous... Voilà, mais The Witcher, une série qui a 1 an, la série Netflix, oui, mais la série, la saga The Witcher, elle existe en livre depuis fort longtemps. Je me demande même si ça n'existe pas avant Game of Thrones, les gars. Et c'est de ça dont on parle, hein. J'ai pas dit The Witcher Netflix, j'ai dit The Witcher. Alors effectivement, je me suis peut-être mal exprimé quand j'ai dit la série, mais quand je dis la série, c'est l'univers en gros. L'univers. Il y a les jeux, etc.
In the real world, everyone's represented by somebody in the show, I think.
Yeah. And I've definitely had moments in my life where I think, that wasn't a good decision. You have to live with it, don't you?
Yeah,
it's about that arc. And also completely trusting that journey and trusting that you don't need to know how it's resolved now.
Yes.
That was something that I kept having to remind myself of, thinking, we haven't seen that side or we haven't been there yet, and just trusting that right here, right now is really important for where she's going to go, wherever that may be. That was really great, you know, when you're doing a sort of longer journey with somebody.
Amazing. Okay, so this question I think seems like a good one for Freya. This one's for you. So are we going to see any training sequences this season, are we? Because, you know, you're not just suddenly a Witcher and then you're amazing. There's a lot of hard work involved.
There's a lot of hard work that's involved. Yes, you are. It was one of the things I was most excited about for season 2. Because I love doing all that. I love the stunt department. We have the best people involved with that, and they're so much fun.
Il y en a qui me font un peu sourire,
get the best out
vraiment.
of you.
Donc je vais.
But yeah, no, Siri begins training and actually becomes one of her main kind of drives. She's
Mais vous savez quoi?
very
On va
determined.
refaire le sondage. Donc c'est The Witcher qui avait gagné avec 53%. Quel univers préférez-vous? J'ai comme dans l'idée. Comme dans l'idée qu'il y en a qui vont avoir des surprises.
And
Alors,
you know,
The Witcher.
and Geralt's being a little
Game
bit,
of
you know,
Thrones.
not quite letting her reach the potential she wants to, which is very frustrating for
Voilà.
her.
Donc,
But
là,
yeah,
maintenant,
no,
les termes sont clairs. Pas de problème. Hein. Effectivement, vous avez raison. J'avais dit série, alors que dans ma tête, quand je disais série, pour moi, c'était série, saga, enfin, tout ça. Voilà. Je pense que, pour ceux qui pensaient, parce que j'ai l'impression qu'il y a beaucoup de gens qui, en sachant qu'on peut refaire son vote, hein, beaucoup de gens qui pensaient que ça allait aider Game of Thrones, j'ai comme dans l'idée que vous allez être déçus. Mais bon, voilà. 80% The Witcher.
It just wasn't.
When I do finally in half, Freya's very aware that the camera is
The Witcher largement devant.
Not getting her reaction. So I look up to just Freya's trying not to make eye contact with me because she's laughing, and I'm meant to be stern, and I'm just looking at Freya laughing, and then
I was literally just like this. I was like.
and then they shout cut, and she goes finally.
This is great, although difficult, I presume, for acting when someone's totally.
Oh, it really was a joy. Really, we had a lot of fun during that sequence, and we're very competitive. In a fun way, offset anyway. I mean,
yeah, and then it came to a scene where I had to chop the head off of one, and the AD goes, "Yep, you better beat Paul." And I literally do first take, and the head goes flying off, and I'm
amazing.
Yes. Can't wait to tell
one. I think we've actually got a picture of you guys training.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's have a look. I mean, look at that. Was that after that particular scene you were talking about, where you like are laughing in his face? You're like, thanks. Ruined my day of acting.
It was good fun.
Oh. I mean, but how was the weapons training? How did you enjoy it?
No, I really enjoyed it. I mean, as a kid, I think one of my first memories, I was about 2 or 3, in a local pound shop, they had those plastic swords, you know, they used to fall apart after like a day.
Yeah.
But I used to always get one when I was in that pound shop, and I used to pretend that I was running around my garden into the bushes, like.
You're living your childhood fantasy right now.
Now it's like a profession.
You get paid for it.
Yeah.
Someone's giving you money to live out your childhood dream.
30 years later.
Life suddenly came together. Good for you.
No, it's great fun, and you know, like Freya touched on there, the stunt department, the fight choreography, you know, it's top, and it's a great atmosphere when you go into the stunt rehearsal, because it's a load of big kids that love doing what they do, and you get to go in there and have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So I guess we should ask, probably Lauren, you've been sitting here, thrown anything to you for a little while, so I think I might... You're all right, you're just enjoying it, like, whatever, it's totally fine. So we've got a lot of new characters announced for season 2, and obviously, you know, yourself as a big fan of the original material. Which one are you most excited to see? Are you allowed to have a favourite, though? Because maybe you're not. I don't know how that works.
That's like asking me my favourite child. That's really hard.
I mean, but everyone has one. They deny it, but they do.
Okay, I have one.
A favourite child?
Don't tell my sons. No, I mean, there are so many characters that we're introducing. We are getting to see Dijkstra for the first time in sort of the Redanian kingdoms. I know a lot of fans are excited to meet Philippa for the first time. Codringer and Fen, Rience, Nenica. There's, I mean, so many. But I would have to say Vesemir is the one I'm looking most forward to our audience meeting. You know, Vesemir is so integral to the story that we're telling this season. Obviously, we're returning to Kaer Morhen for the first time. And in a season that is about Geralt becoming a father to Ciri, it felt so important to meet who his father figure was. And you end up with this multi-generational story, because Vesemir and Ciri have a story as well. And it does start to feel like, oh, all of these people are meant to be interacting and learning from each other and fighting with each other. And it doesn't all go well all the time.
No, family does.
But it's, and Kim Bodnia, who plays Vesemir, is...
Sorry, the casting on that, I just have to small aside. Oh my God, perfection.
Perfection.
So like, you're like, obviously, it's him. Obviously. I mean, who else could it be?
Yes. I just today was watching an episode, and it's a scene that we actually were kind of struggling with. It was a scene that took an entire day to shoot. And it was just... Vesemir and Ciri in a Kaer Morhen lab, and we were struggling with it so much because it's such an emotional scene and so much happens. And I have to say, probably my favorite scene of the season. It is so beautifully acted and glorious, and I cry.
Bon, bah, ils ont l'air contents de ce qu'ils ont fait pour la saison 2, quoi. Ça donne envie. Pour l'instant, on n'a pas de date, hein, mais je me dis qu'ils vont la révéler là, aujourd'hui, dans cette WitcherCon. On est d'accord, il n'y a pas de date encore précise pour la sortie de la saison 2 sur Netflix. On est bien d'accord. Le sondage, donc, avec 1400 votes, 78%, l'univers de The Witcher est votre préféré, 22% Game of Thrones. Évidemment que forcément, on est à un événement The Witcher, donc il y a une propension. Mais je pense que c'est plus complexe que ça, parce que tout à l'heure, vous avez vu, sur le côté série, Game of Thrones avait beaucoup de voix.
In The Witcher, which I assume you knew because you're all here and you're all massive nerds. I'm very sorry that I can't be there in person today. I'm actually working on another project, hence the beard. But I'm here to answer some of your questions that have been forwarded onto me, and also give you a little sneak peek, a little surprise at the end. This is from Sally. Hi, Sally. Dear Joey, oh my God, you're amazing. And there is no question. Who vetted these? I feel this one is from John. Hi, John. Dear Joey, will there be a hat in season 2? Gotta let the hat thing go, guys. It's getting weird now. That being said, there might be a small amount of hat in it for about 47 seconds. Finally, we've got one. Oh, this is a lovely one. It's got lots of stickers on it. It's got a bit of crayon. Hi, Joey. Hiya. Is it a burden playing someone as talented and funny and brilliant and talented as Jaskier?
J'aime bien, c'est rigolo.
No, and that's from Henry Cavill. Henry
Cavill qui sera présent tout à l'heure.
Henry, did you send... You know what? I'm just going to ignore this and the drawings that you've done. There's two little stick figures there.
Un petit peu d'humour, de galéjade.
It says, best friends. I'm just going to ignore that. Finally,
alors
you've been waiting for this for a while.
Proposé un petit aperçu.
I'm going to give you a little sneak preview of Jaskier's new look in season 2. He's gone a bit more rock and roll. I think it's.
Alors à quoi il va
it's
ressembler?
Definitely something. Let's bring it up so everyone can see. And
ah ouais.
There he is. What a moron. What's he doing? That was actually taken, that's just a photo of me from my local pub. You can tell because everyone
Vous voyez, il y a marqué, ça s'arrête pas ici pour Jaskier, il y aura un petit aperçu en supplémentaire d'ici quelques temps.
Little sneak preview.
Pour l'instant, leurs aperçus sont vraiment
ridicules. This season with you later in the year. But until then, I'm just going to go and burn this. Lots of love, everyone. Take care.
Bon, bah, ils essayent de mettre un petit peu d'humour pour mettre du rythme entre les différentes tables rondes. Je veux dire, évidemment que si vous êtes là, c'est qu'a priori, vous aimez bien la série, et si vous aimez bien la saga, The Witcher, etc. Voilà. A priori, c'est le cas. 77% d'entre vous, en tout cas, la préfèrent à Game of Thrones. Alors, les petites séquences qu'ils ont préféré tourner.
I have to say, probably the training sequence with Freya, Lambert, Cohen, and Ciri. I remember it took a couple of weeks. It was quite hot summertime, and we had all the fake snow everywhere, and it was quite strange to have that combination to be cold in the boiling hot. And it was just so much fun. I think that was a real camaraderie starting to kick in, because it was quite near the start of the shoot, I think. And again, in the spirit of competition, I made a passing comment about how much I like sour sweets. And Freya said, I bet I can eat more than you. So I took that
love
as a
this.
challenge. So I'm online trying to find the most sour
just
sweets I
like
can
that.
find. I'll bring them to set the next day and cut to Freya with so many sour sweets. Yas, who plays Cohen, his eyes are streaming. I'm coughing. She wins.
I
Really?
haven't even eaten sugar in so long as well, and we'd force it down. And I literally, my cheeks look like a
Bulging.
yeah. But
The most important thing is that you won, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
But she did have to go to set with a blue tongue, so I wasn't very popular with the makeup department.
Oh, it sounds like a blooming holiday camp, this. It's great. I'm fully into it. OK, next question. Right, OK, so here's a kind of fun one for you. So show Witcher fans a collectible figure. So I believe, actually, this is, Anya, one for you. You're going to introduce this one.
So, Dark Horse produce high-end figures that are coming out at the end of this year. But we have a teaser for you now.
Ah, bah voilà.
Ponderous.
And if you stay tuned, you'll be able to see Yennefer's soon.
Ooh,
Il a l'air
yeah.
pas si
And so
mal
I
fait que
believe the pre-sale
cela.
date is 23rd of July for that. So mark that in your diaries there. Look at that. Pensive.
Amazing.
Le visage,
Yes. Okay,
la tenue,
right.
ça va.
One final card
Après,
for you
la
guys
pose
from the
est-
deck of destiny. So let's make it count. So the card is asking us to reveal your...
Je sais pas ce que vous en pensez. Je trouve la pose un peu classique quand même. Genre, juste comme ça, il pourrait être avec un truc avec son épée. Ça aurait pu être un petit peu plus classe quand même. Elle a l'air d'être quali, etc. Ah, 17 décembre. 17 décembre.
I think more importantly, I think, for everyone is
I
that
think
those
there's
other
a-
words at the bottom there.
There's a date listed here.
Le
Look at that.
17 décembre.
Didn't you know?
Ils étaient pas au courant.
This is a surprise to everyone there.
Voilà.
December 17th, we are doing the Witcher
Bon, bah alors, c'est
season
pas tout de
2.
suite encore.
You've made
hein.
our
Il y a-
Christmas. Look at that.
C'est dans
That's it. Brilliant.
we can-
Witcher Christmas.
We'll have an
6
answer
mois,
for you.
quoi. 5 mois.
Yes, we finally
5
can
mois.
answer people when they ask.
C'est dans pas, c'est pas tout de suite. Hein. Je vois dans le chat, vous êtes là. Waouh,
I
mais
mean,
c'est loin
Lauren,
encore.
obviously, you know,
C'est clair.
I want to know everything about season 2, but I mean,
C'est
don't
clair.
spoil anything. But can
Mais
you
qu'ils
tell me
prennent leur temps pour
more
faire les
about,
choses
you
bien.
know, Ciri and Geralt's journey, but without spoiling anything?
N'hésitez
But
pas
can
à
you
le
tell me
tweeter, le
everything, but
partager
without
avec le
spoiling
petit hashtag
anything?
Without spoiling
Julive. Je
anything,
vous
but
retweet
tell
comme
you
ça.
everything that
On
we
prend
know.
les petites
Yeah,
captures
of
d'écran.
course.
C'est toujours cool.
No, you know,
Il sortira sur quel
obviously at the
support?
end of season 1, we
Netflix.
have what I think is one of the sort of
C'est une
most
série
emotional
Netflix, hein.
scenes that we've done, which is
Est-ce que-
Geralt and Ciri
voilà,
finding
est-ce
each
qu'il y
other
a un
after they've
teaser
both
quand
been
même?
searching all season. And we get this
Quand
super
même.
emotional hug between them, and it seems like, you know, we've got father figure and daughter figure, and
Bon,
everything's going to be perfect.
on veut
at
le
that point.
teaser.
Except
Tu fais
that
pas
they've
une
never met.
WitcherCon si t'as pas le
And
teaser
so
quand
It
même.
was really fun to start season 2 thinking about,
ça
well,
commence.
they're not a family yet. How do they grow to be one? What do you do if you are a person like Geralt is, who has sworn he doesn't need anyone in the world whatsoever, and then he's presented with a girl who's now solely in his care? And we have Ciri, who's used to being under the care of people, but now has basically been running from everyone for an entire season, and now being told that, you know, this person is going to take care of you. And so it was really fun to start season 2 kind of with them a little uncertain about how to be with each other.
Yeah.
And they have to really grow into that. We wanted to make sure that felt like an authentic relationship, that they
Because
weren't
it's-
just bonded at the very beginning.
Yeah, and it's the reality of the situation is Ciri has a lot, like, struggles to trust people after her journey to Geralt. And so it's not easy for her to just open up. And also she's got a lot of things that she doesn't want to open up about. And so it's kind of that dynamic of Geralt trying to understand this girl and she's resisting it a little bit. But Geralt's not always going about it the right way. And it's that kind of, sometimes they're knocking heads, but eventually they do become, you see them become a team, and that's when it's like so lovely. And there's a scene at the end of episode 1 that's probably one of my favourite scenes that we shot, which is like you see a glimmer of what their relationship could become and the trust that could be forming between the two of them, which I think is beautiful.
Yeah, that's such an amazing scene, and it sticks out in my brain because as an American, I use the word "okay" a lot. That's how we respond to things. And it was Freya who was like, "You should know that Brits don't really say okay; we say all right." And I'm like, "Oh, like it's probably in the script 100 times, like okay." And it's the final word of that scene, and it is oddly so powerful because it is an acceptance of the two of them having to start to trust each other, and it's just
getting a bit emotional.
Beautiful. It's so beautiful.
No, it's going to be amazing. I'm so excited. Oh, it's ever the fine line between knowing everything and not knowing anything, but then being surprised, but also knowing everything.
It's December 17th now.
Exactly. You can plan my diary around that. So I should obviously say, later in the show, of course, we're going to be having a chat with the man himself. Geralt Henry is going to be having a chat. Not that I'm salty that he's not here right now or anything. It's a little bit. But I think it's all the time we have with the deck of Destiny. So I just want to say a massive thank you to all of our panelists. Thank you so much for joining us. It was really, really enjoyable.
Ce premier panel, cette première table ronde semble arriver à son terme. Et donc, là maintenant, normalement, ça va parler de jeux vidéo. Oui. Regardez, boum, je bascule un instant, je regarde le programme. Ah non, on va parler de Gwent. On va parler du Gwent et ensuite ce sera le jeu vidéo avec des responsables de CD Projekt. Allez, Gwent, Gwenté, Gwenton, la Gwentance.
Twisted world full of witchers, monsters, knights, and sorceresses. Gwent is a card game where armies clash and you, as commander, lead the charge. You engage in battles divided into rounds. To win a round, you need to gain more points than your opponent. To win a battle, you need to claim victory in 2 out of 3 rounds. Sound easy? Trust me, it won't be. Behold your favorite characters, beautifully drawn and animated. Outsmart your opponents on the battlefield, and expand your collection of cards just by playing. Powerful armies and mighty commanders, tough choices and brutal consequences. This is the world of The Witcher, and it's at your fingertips. So see you on the battlefield.
Alors dans le chat, je vois que vous êtes chaud bouillant sur Gwent, que vous trouvez vraiment très très bon. Bah, sondage pour véritablement vérifier cela. Gwent, pour vous, c'est super.
Look, Freya, okay, come on, Freya. You've got
Bien.
some juicy. What can you give me, please? Just a
Pas mal.
I can help you out there. As you know, Ciri's going through some pretty serious life changes next season, but
Il y a des
the
choses sur
magic
Ciri
and
là.
drama aren't just unfolding on screen. Join me as we take a little peek behind the scenes.
Des coulisses, un aperçu. Enfin, c'est ça qu'on voulait. Allez, c'est parti. Les destins croisés. C'est la musique de Stranger Things ou quoi?
One because it was so well received and so many people contacted me telling me how much they loved it. So, you know, I was just over the moon.
I was thrown into season 1. I was very new to it all and really had to just learn on the job.
We were nervous because obviously we loved it because we put blood, sweat and tears into it. But I'm so glad the audience loved it as well.
I actually do have a lot of lovely memories from season 1. I remember I just loved
Elle a grandi,
shooting
Ciri, hein, quand
episode
même.
1. After her, I'm literally just running
C'est logique,
through
il y a
the
quand même
woods
du temps qui
constantly.
s'est écoulé entre les
Just running
tournages.
away from everyone. And I feel like this season you really see her grow.
I have favourite scenes from season 1, but I loved my whole journey with Yennefer. This season, everyone worked their ass off to make this happen.
And so I'm just excited
for
people to see everyone's hard work.
I mean, that's what we do it for. We do it for the fans, and the fact that gaming fans loved it as well as the new fans that were
Ça a
coming on board
cartonné, hein,
was just
véritablement.
brilliant.
Ça a relancé les ventes
Can't wait
du
actually
jeu.
for people to see this season.
« 17 décembre donc, sur la Netflix séance.
When it comes to the Witcher series, extraordinary talent isn't just on screen, it's behind the scenes too. In this installment of the Humans of the Continent series, Netflix's master armourer Nick Jeffries shows us just what goes into making the weapons of the continent. Have a look for yourself.
Ah ça c'est cool, parce que Moi j'aime bien un peu savoir comment sont faits les films, les objets, etc. Et dans un film comme ça, un peu moyenâgeux fantasy, les armes, et elles sont vraiment bien faites.
For The Witcher, I'm also in charge of the armory department. This is a medieval dagger. It does exactly what it says on the tin. And it also has the ears at the top, which allow you to put a thumb on it for a very powerful strike. So here we have Yarpen's hammer.
Name's Yarpen Ziggurin.
This was a Nilfgaard sentry who unfortunately was a little bit rude to Yarpen, so he cut his wrist off and then he cast it in bronze.
If you had to pick, which monster would you fight and which of your weapons would you use?
I'd fight the smallest monster and I'd shoot it straight between the eyes with a Colt 45. What type of monster would I?
C'est pas la même série. Clairement. Attention. Il est tout à fait envisageable que dans les secondes qui viennent j'éternue. Parce que j'ai senti le truc en train de monter. Mais ça va. Ah, la série animée. Ça sent la série animée, les amis. Graine de vérité, les amis. Carrière Moraine, les amis. Ce qui est perdu. Service secret des Rédaniens. On est dedans. Tournez le dos, mais oui. Les musiques sont intenses, cher ami. C'est top secret. On ne sait pas. Ce sont les titres des épisodes. Ils nous ont teasé, montré, bon sauf le dernier, les épisodes. Intéressant. Intéressant. Je pense qu'on pourra revenir dessus pour essayer de comprendre un petit peu comment l'histoire va se dérouler à l'aune de ces titres. Ah, on va parler des jeux. Allez, c'est parti. C'est parti pour les jeux.
The world of The Witcher, and you basically do your job, and you experience many different stories that we also refer to as quests. So those are the missions you undertake in this world. I work as a lead acting quest designer in Warsaw, and with me is Błażej.
Hello, I'm Błażej Augustynek. I'm the acting lead quest designer for Kraków, the Krakow studio. I've worked on The Witcher and Cyberpunk, been in the studio for 7 or 8 years, I think.
So my name is Philip Weber, and then I just really want to get into the first of the topics that we want to talk about today. And that is essentially what makes our games unique. Since, there's many different ways of exploring and experiencing The Witcher. There are, of course, the original books by Andrzej Sapkowski, and then there's also, of course, the Netflix series. So we want to talk a little bit about what makes these games special.
Voilà, ça c'est cool.
Games as a medium are very different from books.
Dans un petit décor, vous entendez le bois qui grince.
For us, it's important because it allows us to immerse you as the player into the world in a way that any other medium cannot do, which is really exciting as an opportunity for a game developer. Also, we've set the games in the timeline after the books, which gives us basically the whole world as a blank canvas, right? In which we can tell our own stories. The challenge there, though, is to make these stories feel like they belong in that world, like they are part of it. Like if Andrzej Sapkowski were to make a game, that would be the game he would make. That's our hope, at least, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and there's lots of questions we basically had to answer. So as an example, when the first Witcher game was developed, it was started in 2002, and basically it wasn't even clear yet if we're even gonna play as Geralt of Rivia, because basically the thought was maybe we could make our own Witcher. So for the first few years, basically, we try to make it so you can make your own Witcher
cool.
and you're exploring new lands. But then over and over, kind of the question came, you know, the game is called The Witcher. Everyone who loves the books really likes.
You know who The Witcher is, right?
Exactly, it's Geralt of Rivia. Everyone wants to play as The Witcher. So, you know, at some point, I think everyone kind of realized, yeah, we want to be Geralt of Rivia, we want to be The Witcher, and then we basically continued the story, and we made up our own, you know, continuation of whatever happens, and introduced back all of these characters that people actually grew to love. All right, so we already talked a little bit about how we started, you know,
changer l'histoire du studio. Sans The Witcher, CD Projekt sont pas là où ils sont. Il y a eu le problème Cyberpunk, hein, mais n'oublions pas quand même ce qu'ils ont fait sur.
Obviously, you start by reading the books and, you know, getting to know the lore, etc., etc. But it's deeper than that, because we have to go to the inspiration for our own inspiration, which means to all the stuff that inspired the author of the series, and this is also inspiring for us, and we use it to build our worlds in the game, right? So it's kind of like a postmodern deconstruction almost of fairy tales and all the Slavic mythology that we use, or for the case of Beauclerc we also use sorry for my French, chanson de geste of Roman mythology. So for us, we use all of that as inspiration, and the deconstruction comes from the fact that we put real people like you and I into that fantasy world filled with elves and monsters and and all that stuff. I was trying to say chimeras, but I said orcs, whatever.
No,
there's no orcs in
the
Witcher. In the Witcher world. I wanted to say chimeras. Anyway, all of that is also interesting on the meta level, because the way this world actually works, like in the lore, is it has real people from our world, like our physical world, in the fantasy world. This all happened in an event that is called the Conjunction of the Spheres, where two planets aligned and the people from our world were transported into the fantasy world that Geralt lives in.
C'est super intéressant.
It's interesting on a meta level because the inspirations are actually kind of made manifest in the world.
Mm-hmm. Well, also these inspirations are kind of important when it comes to the kind of themes and like general topics we want to explore. So often, essentially, when we come up with quests, we often look at, you know, let's say, the world that Geralt moves around in. So as an example, in The Witcher Wild Hunt, Geralt explores Velen, which is a part of Redania, and in this time it's war-torn. So of course we want to tell lots of stories that have to do with these topics. Mm-hmm. So we basically, when we come up with quests, we think, you know, what themes are interesting for us to explore? What interests us, and then what interests, as an example, the audience? So for sure, as an example, if we would tell stories about a war-torn land, as an example, I as a quest designer would say, I think I have an idea. I want to make a story about, let's say, civilian suffering in this world. And then we essentially start doing our research, because we essentially always say, we're making mature games, we tell mature stories. And that doesn't mean that it has to have, you know, gore and violence and sex. Of course, you know, that can always be part of it. But what it actually means is that we really want to tell about topics that we think are important, that are interested to us, and that essentially make people, you know, think when they play, and that make them feel when they play. That are, you know, maybe sometimes a little bit
mature, ça veut pas dire
so this is often for us actually the first thing to start, essentially to really go. We don't just want to tell stories of, you know, a witcher walking around the land and slaying monsters, because that's not what we want to do. That's not what Sapkowski did. But really to say, what is actually an interesting theme that, you know, is worth exploring. And that's basically our rule for almost every single quest, where we just ask, why does that story need to be told? And if, you know, we can answer all of these questions, then we usually have a good start for a quest.
But there's also a technical challenge to that, right? Because you just said war-torn land, right? And this puts a mental picture in my mind that kind of fills in the details, and I have this picture 100% rendered in my head. Now, the thing is, in a game where we want to immerse you, we actually have to do all that work. We as a team, not we as quest designers, but the whole studio has to work on rendering this war-torn land in painstaking detail, pretty much, because it's environment artists, it's FX artists, it's level designers.
Pour celles et ceux qui arrivent, j'ai vu qu'il y en avait pas mal qui débarquaient, vous pouvez faire un petit F5 et vous allez avoir, en faisant F5, la possibilité de revenir un peu en arrière, si vous avez manqué des choses. Voilà. Pour les autres, on continue.
Sentence, we do have to render to make it immersive, right? So there's this technical thing.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, we also have to do it in a realistic way, because we're always saying we don't want to make a stage on which our stories take place. We actually want to create a world. And essentially, if you're supposed to be immersed in these worlds, you're also supposed to feel that it's real. So I can just give one example. In The Witcher Wild Hunt, you're exploring the city of Novigrad, which, you know, fans of the books might already know and love. And we basically had to do tons and tons of research, you know, our concepts teams, our environment art teams, to really see that the city shouldn't just look like any medieval city, but also it needs to function. You know, the city is a big merchant city, so it needs a really big harbor. It, as an example, has a very famous harbor crane, and it needs, you know, proper walls around it with lots of different gates, because Novigrad is a free city in the state of Redania, so of course it needs lots of defense. And then we also, you know, had to think about, how do these people feed themselves? Of course, they do have a harbor.
The what do they eat question.
Exactly,
right?
What do they eat? So
the
actually,
basic question when you world build, basically.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, it's not just that, yeah, there's a city and now there's forests full of monsters. No, actually, it's a big medieval city. So of course it is surrounded by, you know, lands of fields that different weeds grow there. And then of course, you know, we actually had people checking what kind of weeds would they grow in different parts of the world, because of course, you know, the temperature matters. And all of these details. Because the thing is, we don't necessarily have to tell you, oh, all of this thing is there, you know, the infrastructure, so the world works. But if they are not there, you just notice that it's missing. You just feel like I'm walking around some artificial world, but what you're supposed to feel like that you are Geralt of Rivia living in the world of The Witcher.
You take all of that subconsciously, you take it all in subconsciously, and then by just way of being there, it gives a much bigger gravitas and depth to all the stories that we tell, because they happen in your mind, real world, right, as a player.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's cool.
All right, so we talked about what kind of things inspire us when we start to come up with stories. But now let's also maybe just quickly give people a glimpse on all the challenges we actually face in making these stories into video games.
So, one challenge that might be not that obvious.
Je trouve ça génial, moi, d'entendre vraiment des créateurs revenir sur leurs difficultés, sur leur processus de création.
That the player has in the game. Because in a game you're
sur des jeux
fixed to one point of
view,
que cela. Which is the main character's point of view, Geralt's point of view, and you can't do cuts like you would do in a movie where you show actions and events happening in a different place, different time sometimes. You are focused on just this one character and how he sees the world. So basically, you're traveling through the world with like a point of view camera almost. This is a storytelling challenge, definitely, because we have to make all the important events happen in front of the character, and this means we have to justify their presence in these events, right? We do sometimes in the games, Witcher 1, Witcher 2, Witcher 3, allow you to play as a different character. So that will be the example of Ciri, for example, who you get to play as like an exciting change of pace from time to time, to see how the story develops from her point of view, because arguably she is the main character of The Witcher 3, right? You play as Geralt, but you can't help her, right?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think she's kind of all of our favorite, so we all like Ciri very much. Well, the thing is also, we talked about, you know, that we create an open world and not just a stage, but it also kind of creates these challenges for actually making a story then, because usually if you want to tell a story, you know, you want to go from A to B to C, and usually you want to make the choices that are, you know, best for the flow of the story. But we, of course, you know, say we want to make an open world so you can run everywhere. So as an example, if you're walking around with a character, player might decide to just run away. And then, you know, our game and our stories, they still kind of need to work. So it is actually often our job to essentially make sure that whatever action the player can take, story still works, and sometimes the story notices. Sometimes a character might complain if you're rude to them, and I think that's always it's always nice when you can actually, as a player, I think, find these little spots. But of course, also it's kind of one challenge that we have is to not make you want to run away, to actually make you want to follow that story along. And usually, when we can tell that, while playing our quests, people just, they start looking around and they start running away, and probably something's also wrong with our quest and we should change our approach a little.
This might actually happen when you present choices that are not intuitive for the player at the point where they are presented to you, because as quest designers we have to sort of anticipate what would be the natural reactions, not only for the player but also for Geralt, when presented with a problem, right? It really feels bad when you want to approach a certain situation from a certain in a certain way, and the game doesn't present you with that option. That's not fun. So what we need to do is we need to anticipate what the player might want to do, and then when that choice presents itself, it feels really good because you can actually do that thing that logically made sense to you, right?
And also we kind of have to give you that power to be able to make those choices. So all 3 of the Witcher games are RPGs, so role-playing games, and you usually play the role of Geralt of Rivia. Thing is, Geralt of course knows the rules of the world of The Witcher, he knows the culture, he knows the politics, and then it is also our job to make the player be able to know all of these things. So, we're not gonna start the game by saying, okay, you're in the kingdom of Redania, this is the king of Redania, this is, all the laws that exist, but we kind of try to do it naturally. So as an example, you might walk by some peasants that complain about, someone raised the taxes again. And these kind of, details where you really start, getting a feeling for how the world works. What is the culture? What kind of religions do people have? What do they believe in? And then, once you get all of that information, I think you're also able to, make choices. Because if you don't have any information to base your decisions on, that's not a good choice. That's just, choosing A and B, and I don't know what A and B are or, what they could cause. So that's also a very important job that we have to make that possible.
And sometimes we use the player's character Geralt as a tool for exposition, because he does know this stuff, so he can use it. He can tell it to the player, so to speak. But this also builds into the fact of player expectations, because the Witcher universe is books, comics, series, movies. There's this famous Polish movie, and all of this stuff has built a layer of expectations that fans. Even us, right? I remember the first time we saw the Yennefer model, like everyone gathered at Mateusz Tomaszkiewicz's computer, our quest director. Well, he was lead back then, right? And everyone gathered around his computer and they were looking at how Yennefer looks in the game. It was the first time I saw her, and everyone had their opinions, of course, but but at the end of the day, it was really something to see, the mental image that we had of her after reading the books and watching the movies rendered on the computer screen, and then a big privilege of getting to actually use this model, right? And make quests with it and all of that stuff. So yeah.
All right, so maybe let's get a little bit to the star of our games, which is Geralt of Rivia. And of course, as you're playing The Witcher, you're playing Geralt. And there are some unique challenges when essentially making him a video game character that you as a player are controlling. Maybe let's talk a little bit about that part.
Yeah, this is actually super interesting because I noticed it first when I played The Witcher 1 as a fan. So there's this whole gamut of actions that Geralt does that are mentioned in the books. The making of potions, obviously the sword fighting, horse riding, all these things that kind of build a picture of what it means to be a Witcher in this world, right? And for this experience in the game to be immersive, we need to translate all of that into gameplay actions, into things that the player can do. Because by doing these things, by sword fighting, by mixing potions, researching monsters, talking to people really also, that's a big part of it, you start to feel like a Witcher basically, because that's what you're doing for your interaction with the game, right?
Well, it's also for us, we just had to pretty much adopt his character. Because I think for many people, when they see Geralt for the first time, they think like, oh, he has a deep, raspy voice. He's probably some graph, some action hero. But the thing is, Geralt is a bit more than that. He actually has a lot of depth as a character. I really like his dry humor very much, and he has, very interesting friendships.
Les amis, je vous ai mis un petit sondage. Quelle note vous metteriez?
It's always the best times.
Vous mettriez
but also, basically, Geralt has a unique role.
Il n'y a pas le 2 possible parce qu'il n'y a que 4 choix. Je suis désolé, c'est
YouTube. The world of The
C'est pas
Witcher,
moi.
is a fantasy world, but also it has lots of, real life topics. There's lots of racism in this world. There's sexism. It is a fantasy world, but it's kind of
place.
Exactly. It is a place that could have existed. Mix the real medieval world with fantasy. So Geralt is an outsider. Geralt has cat eyes. He has white hair, and people do know what a witcher is. A witcher is there to kill monsters, but for most people, a witcher is not that much better than a monster. They're accepted as long as they do their job. Exactly, they're a mutant.
He says that he's not human multiple times.
Yeah,
he doesn't
exactly.
feel like he belongs to the race, really.
Yeah, that's the thing. People, tend to spit at him when they see him in the streets, and you are essentially inhabiting this role. Geralt is not a shining hero in a shining armor. He usually often, he tries to do the right thing, but usually, a witcher is supposed to stay neutral. But, in the end, if he's to make a choice between good and evil, he'd rather not make a choice at all. So, of course, we have to honor that character and, make you really inhabit him as a real person. All right, so we now talked for quite a while about, The Witcher and our experiences creating the stories, our memories of making the quests in The Witcher, and I hope it kind of came across how much we love the games and our jobs making them.
And there's also one other thing we want to share with you, because we've talked about our own memories, mainly from The Witcher 3 and the expansions, but there are people at the company who have been here way longer than us, since Witcher 1 times basically, and they also have their own memories, which I invite you to see.
Donc une autre table ronde. Mais alors franchement, et alors je vous ai mis un petit sondage sur The Witcher 3. J'ai pris le dernier parce que c'est le plus populaire aussi. Eh bien, 72% d'entre vous, et vous êtes déjà plus d'un millier à avoir voté, 5 sur 5, 23%, 4 sur 5, 3%, 3, 1%, 1. Bon, c'est un jeu que vous avez adoré, hein. Vraiment. À la fois, je pense que c'est pour ça que vous êtes là aussi, hein. C'est très sympa quand même. C'est sympa qu'ils aient fait cette petite ambiance, ce petit décor. Je trouve ça très cool. Les souvenirs de gens qui étaient là depuis le premier. Vous imaginez quand vous avez...
Yeah, I remember Badowski talking about this it has to be a magic hour.
Współpraca z Tomkiem Bagińskim, początek naszej znajomości.
Trailer, który oglądałem nie myśląc jeszcze o tym, że mogę pracować
Ce sont des jeux qui ont changé leur vie. Changer leur vie.
Tak, to jest w ogóle pierwsza rzecz, którą zrobiliśmy, z której byliśmy bardzo dumni. Ja pamiętam, że wtedy to była dla nas strasznie ważna rzecz, bo to było CG. Pierwsze CG i to było coś niezwykłego.
I was kind of proud when this came out and I felt yeah, we can do stuff. Yeah. Really nice stuff. Although the hair sucked.
Ja
pamiętam, że w pracy u mojej żony wszystkim paniom strasznie się podobał właśnie ten Wiedźmin i mówiły, że będzie super.
What was the name of the character that Geralt actually used as his bait? I remember absolutely loving his cartoonish way of running. His legs just seemed to spin around like...
O nie. Niesamowite.
Well... You know what it is.
Jakie to były targi?
Słynne zdjęcie z internetu, też w zasadzie memowe zdjęcie jest.
I never saw this actually. I don't think I've ever seen this photo.
No, po prostu nie było nas stać na wynajęcie dużej budki, zrobienie tam standu własnego.
Aujourd'hui, ils font des événements avec Netflix, etc.
Well, our presence at E3 has come a long way, but I think E3
petit stand à l'E3, moi je trouve ça super touchant. Ça rappelle d'où ils sont partis aussi. Alors ok, CD Projekt s'est pris les pieds dans le tapis avec Cyberpunk.
Branża gier komputerowych w Polsce.
Mais n'oublions pas qui c'est quand même.
Taka wolna amerykanka, troszeczkę taki dziki zachód.
Trzeba było zbudować cały łańcuch takich hostów, którzy łapali dziennikarzy, przyprowadzali tam, odprowadzali. To oczywiście było...
Na siłę.
No to było duże przedsięwzięcie i wszystko robiliśmy w takiej taktyce partyzanckiej.
Pamiętam, że mieliśmy plakaty, które chcieliśmy rozdawać i nikt ich nie chciał brać i wymyśliliśmy, że wbijemy się do kolejki Blizzarda i dawaliśmy ludziom stojącym w kolejce i nas goniła ochrona.
Young and beautiful. It was GDC, right? I was doing some GDC stuff, and the Płatkov called me like, hey, you know what? There is this party you have to attend in the evening. I was like, but I have stuff, and he's like, no, just get into the taxi and come in, and you'll be fine. And then I came in, and there's like a room filled with 10,000 people, basically, and they give me the microphone on the stage, saying that I'm supposed to say something.
In fact, the last time I was here, Donald gave me a gift. The video game developed here in Poland that's won fans the world over, The Witcher. I confess I'm not very good at video games, but I've been told that it is a great example of Poland's global economy.
Oglądaliśmy przed chwilą to takie krzesełko i to stanowisko, a następna rzecz, którą oglądamy, to jest prezydent Obama, który wypowiada się o Wiedźminie i to wszystko na przestrzeni dosłownie kilku lat. To w bardzo krótkim czasie zrobiliśmy jakiś taki ogromny skok do przodu. W zasadzie tylko dzięki pracy ciężkiej bardzo wielu ludzi.
Tak, wtedy sprawy jakoś przyspieszyły totalnie, to znaczy nagle okazało się, że to jest głupio o tym mówić, ale że Wiedźmin stał się jakąś rzeczą, która w ogóle łączy Polaków, to jest wszystkich dobro.
Tak, to chyba był ten taki moment, w którym zacząłem sobie coraz mocniej zdawać sprawę z tego, jak bardzo jest to ważne w skali globalnej. Ktoś zadzwonił z kancelarii na recepcję i powiedział, że tutaj mają taką prośbę, chcieliby prezent dla prezydenta Baracka Obamy, czy mogą dostać grę w jakiejkolwiek edycji. Ludzie z recepcji pomyśleli, że to jest chyba jakiś dowcip troszkę i próbuje ściemnić, więc poprosili o kontakt osobisty, żeby ktoś przyszedł.
Wystosowaliśmy list od zarządu do prezydenta Obamy. Mieliśmy ileś wersji wydrukowane na takim bardzo ładnym papierze i jak się podpisywałem, to źle się podpisałem, to musi ładniej...
Pamiętam, że ktoś biegał i prosił o podpisy i na pytanie dla kogo, to dla Obamy i wszyscy, to jasne, dawali podpis i zajmowali się swoimi rzeczami.
Wanna?
Ojej.
Le bain. C'est une scène totalement iconique.
Jak jeździliśmy pokazywać grę, to za każdym razem na każdym komputerze było trzeba sprawdzić, czy działa, ustawić i pograć kilka minut. W związku z tym tą scenę widziałem nieprzyzwoicie dużo razy.
He has very pretty feet. His feet are too pretty for a Witcher. There should be calluses. Yeah, there should be calluses there and so on and so forth. No, I'm serious. There should be boils and...
No jest ikoniczne.
Tak.
To jest ikoniczne.
Zostanie na zawsze.
Ja zasadniczo w ogóle tak się kąpię.
Z takimi fajnymi zabawkami.
Zabawki są mojego syna, ale...
Geralt ilustrował wszystkie artykuły na PC Gamerze i za każdym razem, gdy nie dali jako ilustracji tego artykułu Geralta w wannie, to wszyscy czytelnicy protestowali głośno i musieli przywracać ilustrację tak, żeby to był rzeczywiście Geralt w wannie.
But it was a lot of work. Even the sponge that floats on the surface of it, and it has like a special shader.
Na Prima Aprilis zrobiliśmy kiedyś figurkę i to był prototyp, jedna sztuka na drukarce 3D stworzona, ale musieliśmy później zrobić prawdziwego, bo zbyt dużo osób chciało koniecznie, żeby była prawdziwa, a nie tylko Prima Aprilisowym fejkiem.
Wow, mówiłem. Poznaję tego gościa.
Trochę poszła technologia na przyszłość.
Vous imaginez quand même les progrès technologiques?
Inwencja modelarzy, nie moja, żeby
mogli to zrobić?
I potem już podpisałem, jak się już zrobiliśmy bardzo profesjonalnie.
That's a long story.
I need a drink.
Widzę teraz, jak strasznie dużo tam gadali w tych dialogach. Teraz już tak nie robi się gier. No ale to oczywiście miało swój urok. Widać właśnie, tak jak powiedziałeś, nie? Jak strasznie się technologia zmieniła.
We came a long way from this. I hope.
From that. Do you know what I think? Yes, we've definitely come a long way. We've definitely come a long way from a lot of things here.
Nie tylko jeżeli chodzi o grafikę, ale też mimikę postaci, w ogóle wszystkie animacje, to w jaki sposób prezentowane jest scena.
The repeating non-met in dialogue. It was like, okay, so if you exit the conversation here and you reinitiate the conversation, he'll say this line over and over again. I'm all ears, White Wolf. I'm all ears, White Wolf.
On a connu ça.
We kind of knew how to use them, but kind of didn't know how to use them. So there were some really
ça recommençait.
Hey, Witcher!
Hey!
Good to see you. And
Il le
you
fait
get
bien.
that, 35 times during a conversation.
Vous voyez, les développeurs, ils sont comme nous, hein. Ils sont bien conscients, ils sont même plus conscients que nous des défauts de leur jeu, hein, croyez-moi. Mais ils font ce
Widać,
qu'ils
jak się
peuvent.
starzał razem z nami.
No, 3 Geraltów zmieniających się, to jest w ogóle, to jest wielowymiarowe.
Completely a raw badass.
Cała stylistyka tego, to jest w jedynce mieliśmy estetyczne białe tło, w trójce podobnie, a w dwójce totalny Hollywood, eksplozje, wszystko w ogniu, a ty idziesz w slow motion, oddalając się od płomieni.
To scena z Desperado, jak z Banderasem. No, ale to smaczy ogień, to trochę usprawiedliwia.
Troszeczkę. I nie ma gitary.
Oczywiście to też jest cała generacja technologiczna. Pierwszy Wiedźmin składający się z, nie wiem, 15 000 trójkątów, a kolejne to już jakieś w ogóle setki.
Nawet mi nie mów o trójkątach w Wiedźminie pierwszym, drugim czy trzecim, no to wiesz, to jest chodząca lokacja.
With The Witcher 2, we actually gave body to the continent, you know.
Yeah, we started to explore.
We started sailing. Right? We started exploring the universe.
Przy dwójce to chyba ta okładka trochę tak powstawała. Ja pamiętam, że mieliśmy masę różnych wersji okładek wszystkich gier ze świata i bardzo chcieliśmy się inspirować najlepszymi. Przy okładce do trójki to już było trochę tak, co nam się najbardziej podoba i co uważamy, że najbardziej pasuje.
No i potem już taki super dojrzały Facio z Wiedźmina III.
Najlepszy.
No, jest zdecydowanie najbardziej taki data.
Been through hell and high water, you and me. Fact is, you know me better than anyone else does.
To ja się przy tym nie wiem dlaczego wzruszam i mam ciarki.
Thanks for everything. And no, we all miss you.
No to jest ciar faktor.
So, might be my birthday, but I say, here's to you.
Jak o nim myślę, to sobie przypominam, no tak, on jest takim w sumie podsumowaniem, że to się skończyło i nie, to on nie istnieje.
No, to jest świetne zakończenie trzeciej części Wiedźmina. W Toussaint. To jest taka kropka na D.
Właśnie zakończona jeszcze w takim miejscu, które bardzo przyjemnie się kojarzy. Wakacyjnie, urlopowo. I just need to say something that we went a hell lot of work to actually upres all our textures and we have much better textures nowadays, so I'm so proud
So this is shit.
Yes.
Pokazaliśmy go na PAX-ie w Seattle, na panelu urodzinowym. I pamiętam, że tam odważyliśmy się wynająć taką wielką salę, taki amfiteatr na 2300 miejsc. Miałem mega stres, że nie wypełnimy sali, ale potem się okazało, że było na full i mega wrażenie było.
No, ciar faktor.
No, łezka wokół się kręci.
Czy to koniec?
Geralt started talking to gamers directly. You know, we broke the fourth wall and you know, there was a little bit of winking, a little bit of smile. That sort of freed us up a little bit, you know. And I think there's still lots more to do with this franchise.
Definitely.
You know.
And especially with the
Il
better
y a
textures.
encore beaucoup de choses à faire avec cette licence. Vous avez lu, vous avez vu. Et il n'y a eu que des progrès. Allez, un Witcher 4, on ne va pas l'annoncer aujourd'hui. Hein. Mais...
Nie ma drugiego człowieka, na którego bym tak często wpadał leżącego na ziemi w jakiejś salce, jak Marcin. Myślałem wiele razy, że salka jest pusta, po czym się okazywało, że Marcin leży na ziemi i z kimś rozmawia. I myślałem na początku, że to jest jedyna pozycja, w której spotykasz się z ludźmi.
He is the really grumpy, but sometimes interesting folk that I know here, and I would like to thank him for this years of cooperation.
Pamiętam, jak pojechaliśmy do Kolonii na targi, no i wszyscy się przygotowywali. Między innymi były takie dodatkowe atrakcje na zewnątrz i była taka atrakcja, która polegała na tym, że wchodziło się do wielkiej kuli przezroczystej i na takim ograniczonym boisku można było się poturlać. I ty wskoczyłeś do tej kuli i tak ją rozbujałeś, że wyskoczyłeś poza to boisko i gdzieś tam się daleko poturlałeś. I to jest w ogóle taki symbol tego, że obojętnie jakich momentach kryzysowych ty jesteś niezłomny, pełen energii i to w ogóle się nie zmieniło.
Nie będę opowiadał żadnych kompromitujących rzeczy, ani niczego sensacyjnego, tylko opowiem, że za każdym razem właśnie jak się zbliżała premiera gry, gra jeździła na targi, jak właśnie produkowane były te wszystkie trailery i zawsze łapałem się za głowę, o Boże, nie? Ile tam jest spoilerów, a to jest w ogóle takie nieortodoksyjne, nie? Tu uspokajałeś, nie, tak się robi, to jest wszystko dobrze, wszystko właśnie na dobre wyszło i że miałeś rację.
Ty Adam, a może byśmy zrobili tutaj, nie wiem, wielkiego niedźwiedzia, który wychodzi na początek, potem robi mu ujęcie na coś tam i tak tworzyliśmy pewien scenariusz, żeby wizualnie było jeszcze fajniej, żeby było jeszcze bardziej atrakcyjnie i chyba to dla mnie jest najważniejsze w pracy z tobą.
Ce qu'on sent quand même, c'est que c'est des passionnés, quoi. C'est vraiment des passionnés par leur univers. Et on peut pas faire des choses aussi fortes, aussi grandes, sans mettre à fond, quoi. À fond.
Drugą rzecz jeszcze powiem, pamiętam, że kiedyś na korytarzu żeście sobie siedzieli i kombinowali i przechodząc wam tak zazdrościłem strasznie. Tam były jakieś wykresy, smok, kreska, coś, tutaj elfy, atak. Tutaj mówię, wow, ale super, mają taką wielką sesję roleplaying, która trwa przez pół ich życia.
Pamiętasz, jak skończyliśmy Wiedźmina pierwszego i zrobiliśmy imprezę taką małą i w pewnym momencie ktoś z nas wpadł na pomysł, nie wiem, czy to nie ty czasami, żeby te wielkie tablice korkowe, na których błędy przechodziły z jednej kolumny do drugiej, a już były niepotrzebne, gra była zamknięta, żeby je rozwalić, żeby już mieć żeby zrobić jakąś kropkę nad niej, żeby zniszczyć te wszystkie taski, wszystkie problemy, które były i pamiętam, że zrobiliśmy to, byliśmy bardzo niegrzeczni.
Ben, j'espère qu'ils pourront le faire avec Cyberpunk très prochainement aussi, casser ces trucs sur lesquels il y a eu tous les problèmes. C'était très cool, mais vraiment, j'ai adoré ces moments. Alors, on va se mettre dans la musique, mais juste un tout petit instant quand même, de plonger dans le cœur de la création, de voir leurs émotions, etc. J'ai trouvé ça extrêmement intéressant. Xiam qui dit c'est tellement intéressant pour une fois, journal de dev, on adore ça, plutôt que teaser sans gameplay. Je suis super d'accord. J'ai trouvé que c'était vraiment, pour une fois, vraiment des anecdotes personnelles. Allez, on y va.
Thanks again,
c'était magnifique.
And Percival,
Cette
for setting us up.
musique,
Right. For this
vraiment.
panel, we've lost the deck of destiny because, well, basically from this point on.
La musique
only
qui
pure
rappelle
knowledge
tant de souvenirs, c'est ça, la puissance
The name of the game is
de
Geralt of.
des mélodies, c'est que ça rappelle les souvenirs, les moments, les sensations qu'on a eues. Et je crois que dans le chat, vraiment, en tout cas j'en vois beaucoup, go réinstaller le jeu et le refaire, nous dit Légolas. Bah ouais.
Executive producer and all-round Witcher whiz, Lauren Schmidt.
Allez, on est reparti.
Feel like Oprah.
I want that introduction everywhere. That's amazing.
I'm for hire. I'll just follow you around, shouting your name loudly with an arm gesture.
Love it. I'm so
Excellent.
ready for this game.
Excellent. She's joined by the man who follows in her footsteps, writer on The Witcher and showrunner for The Witcher Blood Origin. It's Declan de Barra! And are you all right, Declan? You okay?
I'm good. I'm just geared up and ready to destroy my former friend who is now my mortal enemy.
Oh, wow. I see how we're playing this game.
Oui, parce que ça va être un quiz là. Là, ils vont se faire un petit quiz. On aura ensuite Henry Cavill, donc qui incarne Gérald de Rive dans la série Netflix, qui sera là. Moi, je trouve que c'est... Alors évidemment, il nous avait prévenu qu'il n'y aurait pas d'annonce de nouveaux jeux The Witcher. Mais je trouve qu'il y a eu vraiment des moments extrêmement touchants. Pour l'instant, le passage vraiment avec les développeurs là, qui retrouvaient des souvenirs des premiers The Witcher, de leur petite salle de l'E3 et tout, du Convention Center. J'ai trouvé ça super touchant. Je trouve que ça humanise véritablement les développeurs. Et on en a besoin. Vous savez, les développeurs, les créateurs de contenu, les gens que vous voyez, dont vous aimez bien parfois les contenus, dont vous aimez moins les contenus parfois. C'est exactement comme vous et moi. On est des humains avec nos qualités et nos défauts. Mais je pense que c'est des gens qui se donnent beaucoup. C'est énormément de travail. C'est beaucoup d'efforts pour en arriver là. Parfois ça marche au top, parfois ça foire. Voilà. Mais je peux vous assurer que c'est pas leur but. Vraiment. Ils préfèrent que ça se passe bien.
And the opposing team has the opportunity to potentially steal your point. So, I mean, feel free to obviously deliberate with your counterparts, your other team members. But obviously the opposing team is listening, so don't give too much away or you might lose a point. And, you know, you viewers at home, do you think that you can outdo the pros at all of these Witcher lore questions? But do share your answers with us by tweeting using the hashtag WitcherCon. Right, hopefully that's all clear.
It is.
Medium.
Yep. Lauren, that you do know that we've replaced, there's panels underneath you. If you get a wrong answer, you go into the fiery depths. No pressure whatsoever.
No pressure at all. I mean, I'm confident. I think Bajay and I have...
It's actually fire and spikes.
Fire and spikes. Just when you think fire can't get any worse, there's spikes into the mix. Well, just mean your weird little mind works, Declan, but we like it. That's all good. Okay, so first question is for the blue team. So let's see how well you really know dear old Geralt. Ooh. So, for a man of surprisingly few words, he's actually got a huge amount of monikers. Can you name all 6 of them? 6. There's 6.
There is 6 of them.
I have them on this card here, just in case.
Does The Witcher count?
No.
I mean, no.
Okay, let's go with the easy
6.
ones then. Let's get the easy ones out of the way, right?
Yep.
So there's the White Wolf,
The White Wolf.
which in Elven or Elvish is Gwynblade. In English, that will be pronounced how? Gwynblade?
Gwynblade.
It's Welsh, I think.
Yes.
That's 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we
Butcher.
got 2.
Butcher of Blaviken.
Of course.
One of the more popular ones. Classic.
The classic B.O.B.
Isn't there another
there's
Butcher
the-
one? There's another
Yeah.
one with Butcher.
The Butcher of White Orchard.
Yes. Okay, you got 4.
Yes.
Okay.
Couple more
And
to
there's another one I wanted to say about. There's the one we used in the game also. It's a throwaway line in the books. It's Ravix of Forhorn.
Forhorn, yes. Wow.
Czteroroga in Polish.
Yeah, that's right.
So
sounds kind of dirty.
Yeah.
Sounds kind of dirty.
It does. Have you ever? No.
No, it's just Polish.
So we. Does all Polish sound dirty?
We got one more. One
Okay,
more.
one
Can you
more,
get
one
it?
more.
It's you're really going to kick yourself. It's
Okay.
a quite straightforward one.
The white one? Just
The white one. The white one.
Let's see if they've got
That
it
was it?
right, and they have. Yes, all 6 right. So the point goes to you, Lauren.
Nice.
Kicking off. That was a
Est-ce que vous les aviez tous?
I'm registering a protest
Je confesse que j'avais pas les 6.
Which is Stan the Hat. Where Stan the Hat is his side gig where he sells illicit
J'avais pas les
kittens
6,
and babakins.
Voilà, pas tous, hein, Pascal.
And
C'est vrai que Coco, il les avait.
Bob is a nice
Voilà.
name for a... Bob, that's a nice name for a Witcher. Bob.
Bob the Witcher.
And any Blackadder fans out there will get that.
And you know why he said it like that?
Why?
Because he used to have a stutter, so it was
Bob.
Yeah.
Well, we also forgot a really important one, because when Geralt was a young guy, Vesemir asked him to, what's your proper Witcher name? And I think he wanted to be Roger Eric Duot Bellegarde, and Vesemir told him he's an idiot. So I think that's always my favorite one.
Yeah, but he was a little kid then.
Very long
we
name.
also could say that it's Sir Geralt because he did get knighted at some point, right?
Right.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of...
Yeah,
as we
you
said,
have Mev stepping in.
Like, how long can we keep going right
No,
now?
listen, the point's already gone. I think that's basically it. But it was fun to hear all these other names. That was pretty good. So, red team. So now we're on the topic of Geralt. Which creature or being gave Geralt the scar
dans le
across
chat.
his left eye?
Quelle créature est responsable de la
Was it from winking too
cicatrice
much?
sur son
Ladies.
œil gauche?
Yeah, those are excellent questions.
On va voir si vous
Think
êtes
it has something
plus
to do
fort
with
encore
a bird-sounding name.
Que les gens qui sont sur le plateau.
Going to need to be a little bit more specific than that.
Cockatrice of something.
A little bit more specific than that.
Spala.
Cockatrice of Spala?
Ah, yes,
That
they've
might
got
be
it
it.
right. Ding, 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 ding. Point to the red team. Oh, even Steven.
How many times is that said in the
Thank you very
game?
much.
How many times?
Pas facile,
You said
hein?
a lot.
I'll
Pas
be
facile.
completely honest. I think it's just kind of a throwaway line. It's Geralt mentions it, but I could not recall if there is a big story behind it. That seems like something maybe we should do at some point.
This is some sort of worrying, wibbly lore we need to hammer out here. Not okay with that.
I'm very disappointed that has been used because it's the best character name ever. Because could you imagine like Witcher season 7? And it's like, good evening, I am the cockatrice of Spala. I have come to kill you.
I would fully watch that.
I don't think it talks.
Fully watch that.
You don't think it talks?
All right, okay, next question for the blue team. All right, so from ghoul bites to other things that have kind of strange effects on the mind and body, who or what is Rydwaith Carthian? Is it 1, a monster that controls minds? Is it 2, an exotic plant? Is it 3, heartache in Hanlinga? Or is it 4, an influential mage?
It sounds made up.
Most lore does, I'm not going to lie.
I think I know this one.
That's true. That's true.
But I'm afraid
go
of saying
ahead.
it. Okay, we're going to try it.
Just do it. Just do it.
I
Just do
think
it.
it's an exotic plant.
Are they right? Is it an exotic plant? Yes, you are correct.
Nice.
Point to
I didn't
the
even have to
blue
phone a
team.
friend.
I didn't. I'm just pretend I did.
Okay, right, red team, are you ready? Oh, wow, very ready, aggressively so. Right, okay, so it's not just plants that you should be wary of in The Witcher. The universe is full of dangerous creatures too, and each one more horrendous than the last. Which far from friendly foe's silhouette do we see here? Is it number 1, a gold dragon? Number 2, a basilisk? Number 3, a griffin? Or number 4, a green dragon? Let's see it.
First of all, I did not approve this picture of me at all. It's
It's like a weird Rorschach test, right?
It is like a griffin had copulation effects with a basilisk and had a baby and fed it fire.
It looks like me coming home from a night out.
I think because the way it's hunched over, what would you think, a basilisk
comme ça,
or a griffin? No, it's not a griffin.
I mean, maybe it's a bit cheating because I do recognize that it's from the game. So but it's made for me.
It's not cheating. That's the point of you being here.
What are you going with? Final
How
answer.
long were you going to let us go back and forth?
Okay.
It should be a basilisk, but it could also be a cockatrice, maybe of Spala, but I will go with basilisk because there's no cockatrice here.
Or it could be
That's
me.
not one of the answers.
Hold on.
Okay.
If I was like this.
Yeah.
It's
there we go.
kind of
It's
you.
very similar.
Like if you spilt some wine on the floor or
Exactly.
something. Yeah.
Dans
very
le chat,
similar. Okay, let's
vous
find
êtes
out if they've got the
plus
correct
pour le
answer.
griffon.
Yes, it is number 2, a basilisk.
Mais
Well
c'était un
done.
basilic.
Point.
Perfect.
This is getting Okay, I'm into this. This is fun. Right, question for the blue team now. Now, we already know that Henry Cavill was a huge fan of the books and the games, but it seems that he wasn't alone. I mean, apparently, Lauren Declan, your colleague, Tomasz Baginski, wanted to get the show made so badly that he went kind of all in on a very extreme gesture. But what gesture was that? Number one, he wrote a passionate 25-page letter telling Sapkowski why the show needed to be made. Was it number two, that he showed up at Sapkowski's office to serenade him for a full hour? Sort of hope that's true. Number three, he made a pilot episode in which he portrayed both Geralt, Yennefer and Ciri. Actually, no, scratch that. I want that one to be the one. Or number four, he lobbied to make The Witcher part of Polish cultural heritage and thus secure a special grant needed to kickstart production. So many good endings here, but which one is it?
I'm a big fan of the second one.
I have heard Tomek
and I would like to live in a world where this is true, but I don't think it's true.
So, do you know?
I do. I know this one.
Yeah.
Although I'm still a little bit surprised by the detail that I didn't know, which is I knew that he wrote Sapkowski a letter.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have to make fun of him because who writes a 25-page letter?
I mean, first of all, who writes a letter anyway? But like, I mean, I presume was it handwritten?
I'm sure.
There's no way that was like, it's got to be cursive with like a quill or something. 25 pages. Did you read it?
Do you think he read it all?
I do think he read it. I mean, it's Sapkowski. I think absolutely he read it.
Yeah,
and then he probably ripped it up and threw it away.
Oh, that's a shame. I really wish that this existed so that we could read it. I want to know what anyone can say for 25 pages. Yeah. It's pretty impressive. But should we check that the answer's right? Unsurprisingly, it is correct.
Okay. Can you get it somewhere? Can you read it?
That'd be awesome. We got to get a copy.
Yes.
Yeah, I bet we can ask for it.
I think this needs to happen.
But I also think we should have him serenade Sapkowski at some point, just for the sake of our glee.
That did happen. He told me this on a drunken night out. Because he got turned down on the 25-page letter. Because he camped outside that door in the cold and the wet for 10 long nights. And eventually, it started raining down soggy letters, pieces of letter, and it's like, go away from my window. So he starts to sing, fails, he leaves, he comes back 1 month later with the real thing that changed the whole deal, which was 25 Bavarian mimic owls, which he set upon Sapkowski to fly through his window. And every time he would try and go to sleep, he would go, "We need to do this. This must happen. Read the letter. Give in to Tomek." And it worked.
Now you guys see why the writer's room of The Witcher is so much fun.
This is bad.
Yeah, madness. I love it.
Le mec est habité, véritablement.
Lovely.
Il est à fond.
Moving on. Red team. Okay,
25 pages.
As you all know well, lots
C'est la
of things get
passion,
lost
les
on the
amis, c'est
cutting
la
room
passion.
floor, and, you know, some probably...
Et ça a marché.
It's better for the better.
Ça a marché.
Which
Ça vous permet de
cut
vous
did
distinguer,
CDPR
en vérité.
regret, though, in retrospect? Was it, number one, a sequence where Ciri fights monsters whilst ice skating? Is it number two, the ability to swap horses? That's just mean. Poor Roach. What would the game be without? Three, making the game a multiplayer. Or four, making Geralt an elven mage.
I remember this one. You got the easy one.
It's a cheating question again. Of course I know that.
You know that one?
You know it.
But
Yeah, we all know it.
I'll give you a try because I always get the video game questions.
Yeah, maybe because I don't know the answer, I'm going to have to guess here. It's either going to be swapping horses or ice skating with monsters. I mean, ice skating with monsters, I hope that was the thing because imagine at the end of it, like she does a pirouette, chops the head off a ghoul, and then there's like people at the end holding up scores, 10.9 technical merit, gore factor 9.
I love that. I would watch more ice skating shows if there was more bloodshed. Let's be honest.
That's the only thing that's missing.
Right.
This needs to happen in the Olympics. Monster ice
But,
skating.
I mean, Ciri has some great scenes ice skating and, hurting people. So,
It has to be that, right?
Yeah.
Je pense que c'est le
Thank you
patin
for
à glace.
helping me.
Hein.
Philip, is that right, Philip?
Le patin à glace.
I would say, yeah, it's right. It's one that hurts the most. There's, of course, always many cuts that hurt us a lot. One colleague of mine had a bad cut that was called troll poop. He's still very sad about that one. But the ice skating is definitely one of the hardest ones. Yeah. True.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
ice skating. Perfect.
Let's see if they're right. And you're right.
Thank you, Lauren.
Wow, yeah, you accidentally. You got too involved in being right there.
I did.
No. Oh, okay, all right, it's all right. Still all to play for, don't worry. So, right, Lauren, okay, blue team. Now, when you think of The Witcher, I mean, it's really hard to not think of monsters. And, Geralt may not actually face that many monsters in the books, but he does see his fair share within the series, of the games and the show. My question is, which monster isn't mentioned in the books and games? So, is it number 1, the Doppler? Number 2, Alp? Is it number 3, Sylvan? Or 4, Selkimor?
Okay, so the Alp is a vampire, and it's definitely mentioned. The Sylvan is mentioned as well, and Doppler has its own story, and there's like a character. I don't remember the Selkimo anywhere, so that would be my bet.
I am going to firmly agree on that one, yes.
Okay,
right,
are they right? Yes, they are.
Yes, they
You
are.
guys, obviously you're going to know all the answers. I would be mad if you didn't, right? Okay, so there's a bit of a reason why I didn't ask you that question, Declan, because I believe that actually this we're about to see here is your handiwork.
Indeed, that is it. And there was another picture of it actually swallowed up poor Geralt.
Yeah.
And then Geralt cut his way from the inside out, killing the Selkimo.
Yeah.
And then he flees past Jaskier, who's going, what's going on? And then thousands of baby Selkimos come out chasing him while Geralt's covered in slime.
Yeah.
But obviously, we had to change for the script, and I had finished the writer's room, and you called me while I was on holiday in Spain, going, I need some dialogue for a pub patron who's describing this scene. And I was on a train, and I might have had a few riacas, and I like to act out the dialogue. So there was a packed train, and I was going, covered him all it did, swallowed him, giant obsidian teeth of death. And everybody on the train was
loving it.
Loving it. Well, not loving it, calling the police.
Did you get your own seat though? Everyone's like, I'm just going to slowly move away from that.
So I was texting it to Lauren, and it made the cut. So I'm delighted.
It absolutely did. What didn't make the cut is the actual Silky Maw.
Yeah. Oh well, next time. But we got the Kralak in, so I was really happy. Which is the Roachan.
I have to say that is a really great scene. Like his whole speech there, where you're like, it's brilliant.
It's one of those things where it works out better not actually showing it.
Yes.
It was really cool. And that was Lauren's smart idea.
Save a bit of money on special effects there.
Totally.
Right, we've got another question for the red team here, and it's another one about names. So, who is the Viscount de Lettenhove? Is it number 1, the Ike of Denzile? Is it number 2, Jaskier or Dandelion? Or is it 3, the Detlef van Echretijn? Man, I'm having a day. 4, Gonta O'Dim.
We would all be burned at the stake, quite rightfully so, if we didn't know this.
Aggressive.
Est-ce que vous avez toutes les réponses dans le chat? Est-ce que vous avez toutes les réponses?
It is Jaskier and Dandelion. Of course, it's very important to him.
Let's see if you're right.
Bon, celle-là, elle était assez facile.
Yes, you're right. Well done.
Big surprise.
Not so much. Jaskier, Dandelion, Julian, Alfred, Pancras. I mean, call him what you want and say what you will. But I do think we can all agree that the Bard always looks like $1 million. And he isn't the only one. Philip, I hear you guys are making sure that the Witcher 3 is looking equally suave and sleek on all next-gen hardware?
Oh, do I get to announce that? All right. Yeah, so if I can say, yes, we are working on a next-gen update for the next-gen consoles to make The Witcher Wild Hunt look extra smooth and extra great again. Of course, for people who already own the game, and of course also on PC, we'll be able to upgrade for free. So I'm also really happy to say that for this upgrade, we collaborated with Netflix for some free DLC to add to the game. So as an example, you might be able to wear Geralt's armor, inspired by the Netflix series. And we'll have more info about that in the future.
Is it me or does Geralt look a little bit moodier? A little bit moodier in that one. But I'm very excited as an excuse to play it all over again.
Well, he's standing in fire, so yeah.
That will always do it.
That would do it.
I mean, yeah, you're going to have a bit of a frown.
Absolutely.
So, seeing as we've got at least one illustrator here in the studio, I thought it'd be kind of fun to play a round of Pictionary. So yeah, the pencils are coming out and basically all bets are off, guys. So Lauren and Declan, I'll be giving each of you a card with a word or phrase on it, and it's going to be the same word or phrase. Now, it's your job to draw it to the best of your abilities within 60 seconds. Now, while you're drawing, your partners on the line are basically going to start guessing, and the first to guess right wins.
Okay.
Sounds pretty clear. Okay, so
We
both
got
teams,
this.
please turn over your cards. Take it all in. Okay, the timer starts in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, we've got 60 seconds on the clock. And remember, guys in Poland, Bourré and Philip, let us know as soon as you know.
Okay, I'm going to draw my finger because it's not working.
I think I'm seeing a ghost. I'm
skull face.
I'm seeing a noon wraith. I might be seeing.
Has a big fin on the back. It's like a. No, it's an arm. Sorry, it's an arm.
The other one is cool. I see a cow with teeth.
That's 30 seconds gone. It's totally a
Okay,
monster.
like so far, it has like four. It has 4 limbs, but it looks like very spidery.
Come on, guys, have you got any idea what it is? Shout out if you know.
No, it's a ghoul. It's a ghoul, right? It's like it's very spindly, the face.
Oh, you got it.
Stop. Yes, you are right.
But it
It's a
looks
ghoul.
It has to be. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
look
just
at it.
lifelike. That's uncanny, my drawing to that.
Yeah, it was a pretty good. Yeah.
So with the final point going to the red team, that tallies up to a final outcome of 4 points to the blue team and 5 points to the red team. Declan's team is the winner. And
The only thing is, I think it's on me, having said I'd play dirty, to play honest, because we wouldn't have got that point without your team's assist. So I think, in fairness, it is the blue team who wins.
Oh, wow.
Exactly, yeah. So I think we should present a little, just a tiny little token of a prize. Just a wee little thing you can put in your pocket.
What is happening?
It's
There was a prize. No one told me there was a prize. I would have actually got... Actually, no, I wouldn't have been able to answer
Great
half the questions.
prize.
I don't know why.
I'm just curious what the prize is going to be.
You won. Okay.
You got that
Are you
for
going
us?
to ship this to
Okay.
us?
This is living in right beside Lauren's pool. Blue team, I present to you Sir Gwyneth of Gryffindor.
Oh my God.
I can't believe you did this for us.
That's okay,
It's
because
so
I get a
amazing.
consolation prize.
What?
What are you doing?
Oh, how do you feel there, Wajé? Oh, wait, well, you can't just keep... Well, wow.
I
this
mean,
is
I
taking a
hope you
turn.
ship this to
I'm taking-
Poland, right?
I'm
So I
taking
can
this back on the
put it
subway
in
with
front
me.
of my house.
We're going to share custody of this, I think. We can just take turns,
You're
6
gonna-
months at a time.
Yeah, exactly. I get half a year, you get half a year. And,
Perfect.
Exactly.
I mean, you have a pool,
I have a
right?
pool. I was gonna
so
say.
it floats, right? Is it polystyrene?
Sure it does.
So, you know, put the kids on that. They'll love it.
What do you have over there?
Oh, yeah, Philippe, do you...
I think I have a nice little halberd.
Okay.
It's good for shaving.
Oh, so that's our
I mean,
prize.
how do you guys in
I
Poland
like it.
feel about that? I mean, Philippe, like, are you sad that he just gave away your giant skull prize?
I mean, I'll be honest. Like a halberd like that is much more useful in the day-to-day business. So
Absolutely.
I'm happy with that.
They both work for home defense. You walk in the door, you see the halberd, you turn around, you leave. But you walk in and you see a giant griffin ahead and you say, who the hell slayed that? And I'm not messing with him.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's cheaper than paying for those
I'd
alarm
rather
unit things.
much rather have the skull.
Yes, agreed. I think the prizes laid out exactly as they should have.
Okay, so we'll swap weekends and weeks, all right? We'll just post it back and forth.
Every third Wednesday or
Sounds
whatever.
perfect.
Okay. Well, look, Blue Team, it's my supreme pleasure to, very unofficially pronounce you WitcherCon 2021 Lore Masters. So, I mean, do you want to share, like, a few words of victory with your fans or any potential, future usurpers to your crown?
No words of victory. It's just been so exciting to be here and doing this today. And I've loved working with the team from CDPR on this too. It's been great to partner up and actually, maybe someday we can end up in the same place at the same time. That would be exciting too.
Yeah, who knows?
Exactly. All 4 of us, the skull and the halberd.
Right.
That sounds like a party I want to go to. Not gonna lie.
Some little barbarian mimic owls.
Yes, it's a date. WitcherCon 2022 maybe.
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
that sounds
Ça y est, ils prennent déjà date pour la suite.
So I do actually have one final question for you guys
est-ce que
for our Lore Masters here.
Il y a un
And,
moment
there's
où
no
il va y
points
avoir la
to
série
the
et
end,
il y aura Witcher
your
4,
your
non?
win is safe
Le jeu.
here. But you could unlock a secret reveal for the audience if you get this one right.
Un secret.
So we talked a little bit before about Geralt's ghoul bite earlier, and after that incident, Geralt was taken to safety by Yerga, but the White Wolf isn't really having it. He asked Yerga to take him to the Blue Mountains, saying, "He'll save me." Who is Geralt talking about here? Come on.
It's gotta be Daddy Pants, right?
I mean, I wrote the line, so it's kind of unfair for me to answer it.
I mean, you know, if Geralt has like one guy who he's always looking out for, it's usually Uncle Vesemir.
Yeah, okay, it's Vesemir.
You are absolutely right. The answer is Vesemir, so well done, well done. But also, I have to say, Lauren, I did hear kind of like some sort of mutterings backstage that this sort of might be the year of Vesemir. So can you explain to me why, to be fair, I shouldn't really have been eavesdropping, but why is it the year of Vesemir?
I was going to say, we cannot keep anything secret, can we?
No.
So, you know, I've spoken a lot about Vesemir. I'm really excited to introduce him in Season 2. And to finally meet this man who basically created Geralt, who shaped Geralt into the Witcher that we know and love. But it's a little bit more than that, actually, because even before Witcher 2 is launched, we are launching our first anime feature, Nightmare of the Wolf. And we are so excited for audiences to see this.
Est-ce qu'on va avoir des images de l'anime?
That looks incredible.
That is pretty exciting.
That is very
Le
exciting.
23 août.
Oh my goodness, wow.
Ah bah ça arrive bien plus tôt.
There's a date on this, so you're not going to have to wait
23
very long.
août.
That's really soon.
23 août.
It's that kind of time.
Mais alors,
I'm really
on
sorry
veut voir
to
à quoi
say,
ça
but
ressemble.
it's
C'est quoi le
basically
style
the end of
visuel?
panel two. So I'd like
Est-ce que
to
vous
thank
êtes chaud?
Bargy and Philippe for joining us from Poland, and of course to Declan and Lauren, and you guys at home. I mean, did you beat the pros? Did you get more questions right than they did? Oh, well, we'll find out soon enough. But I do hope that you stay tuned, because if you've enjoyed what's been revealed so far, you do not want to miss the next reveal that's coming right up.
Ah, est-ce qu'on va voir? On voit, oui, oui, oui. Allez, on découvre. Alors, vas-y voir. La série Castlevania animée était vraiment chouette. Visuellement d'ailleurs, c'est un peu le même style, je trouve. De ce que j'entreaperçois. Mais c'est même totalement, quoi. Je me demande si c'est pas la même équipe. Le cauchemar du loup. Ok. Ok. Bon, on n'a pas vu grand-chose. Mais le style visuel me rappelle le style visuel de Castlevania sur Netflix aussi. Hein.
So, what have you got up your sleeves for us, Lauren?
Well, I am so excited to take you to a place that I think all fans are dying to see. It's a key spot at the core of the Witcher universe. Join me on a tour of Kaer Morhen that touches upon the Keep's lore and visual style across 3D and 2D and live
action
formats,
making of.
from the
Et je
games,
crois que
the series,
derrière,
and the anime film.
c'est
Come
Henri
on
Cavill.
inside.
Allez, on y va. Let's go. Et oui, vous êtes nombreux à demander la mise à jour Next Gen. Je sais, mais moi aussi j'aimerais bien le voir, mais c'est pas pour tout de suite, visiblement. Peut-être à la fin de l'émission, peut-être jamais. Peut-être pas aujourd'hui, peut-être, je ne sais pas.
I'm excited to welcome you all, legacy fans and new audiences alike, home to Kaer Morhen.
Quand t'es fan, quand même, c'est classe.
This building has seen more than its fair share of danger. Each column and stone tells the story of how Witchers endured amid the dark
Ça fait un peu quand même dans le Seigneur des Anneaux, vous savez, la grande salle de banquet.
Prologue of the first Witcher game, where players must defend the stronghold from the attack of Azar Javid and the Magister. In Witcher 3, the dreaded Wild Hunt attacks and lays siege to Kaer Morhen in an attempt to kidnap Ciri. Players are also able to explore the keep's surrounding regions and dig deeper into Witcher history.
Et ils ont créé tout ça. Excusez-moi, la baillance.
In the last few years, the Witcher universe has expanded rapidly, and with it, our understanding of
sourire parce que vous avez, dans le chat vous êtes à fond.
Will provide our first piece of
Sur, il faut qu'il nous montre la mise à jour. Je suis d'accord, je suis d'accord.
In the anime, we'll witness the pivotal sacking of Kaer Morhen, when fearful,
C'est le
fanatical
moment
humans
parfait pour la mise à jour.
And then in Season 2, we see the resulting dilapidation of this siege. At the very heart of Kaer Morhen is the Great Hall, built in stunning detail for Season 2. We see that the keep's tables are empty, its giant fire pit casting more shadows than light.
Oui, voilà, non mais je sais, oui, mais ils ont pas donné la date.
Stands the medallion tree,
Ils ont pas donné la date.
mysterious and looming memorial, where the medallions of fallen Witchers have been hung for hundreds of years, a reminder of the brotherhood that bonds them, even in death. We also glimpse the Witcher armory,
Et on est d'accord que normalement c'était prévu dans la période de l'été, quoi. Enfin bon, on savait pas trop à la fois.
And those who know, know. we explore the basement lab, a pivotal place of experiment and research. The lab is also where young Witchers are created, if they're lucky enough to survive the trial of the grasses. It's been an exciting journey, crafting a new piece of this Witcher world, from the page to the screen. We hope you love it as much as we do.
Mimi, what's it been like to be back, you know, amongst kind of all the cast? When was the last time you saw them?
Some of them I haven't seen since early last year. So it's been really beautiful to like blow kisses at them in the distance and air five.
Oh, I fully get the vibe that you guys are really, really tight.
Yeah, we're a family. We get really territorial over each other. It's beautiful.
It's adorable.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. Now, I know I've said it before and I will say it again, but the Witcher universe is, of course, constantly growing. And how's that been for you to kind of see the show evolving in such a way?
I am always in awe as to how everyone comes together just to create this for the fans. And I'd actually like to show you something really special.
Quelque chose de spécial? Allez! Les marionnettistes. Oh! Dirais-moi avec mon fond vert, mais eux, ils l'ont sur eux. Voilà. Ah, ça doit être serré un petit peu.
We can't be in the shot, so we need to be greened out. And they use the heads as sort of a reference, how the creature would move and so on. We'll be back at the studio.
Ah, il nous la cache, la créature. Hein. Il veut pas qu'on la voit.
Just go onto the set and then green suit up.
So obviously this is the real deal.
Yeah. This is us day to day. We're on set, holding up our green heads.
So this is the smallest. It's took a little bit of a beating over the course of filming. Extremely long pole. And so, obviously we need to maneuver the head as per the choreography.
This one, the other one, his arm everywhere, and he gets, you know, across, and it's just absolute chaos. It's what I think the fans want to see. Like right at the end, it just all kicks off and there's.
Les spoilers! Bon, bah c'est un griffon ou un basilic, comme le dit Vincent Nunes, effectivement. Il a dit des choses, mais il n'avait pas le droit de le dire.
The people behind the Witcher universe and the amazing work that they do. Next, we're going to take a look at The Witcher Monster Slayer, a mobile location-based AR game developed and published by the Spocko team. This new adventure in the world of The Witcher will be available shortly, so let's dive in and hear what it's all about from Raphael.
Have you ever dreamt of being a Witcher? In our game, The Witcher Monster Slayer, you'll strap on the boots of a professional monster hunter and explore the real world around you. By combining a location-based genre and augmented reality with the visual quality known from The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, we're bringing the monster-infested realm directly into our world. To feel what it's like to be a professional Witcher for yourself, all you need is your phone. But our game is not just about hunting and killing beautifully rendered beasts. Above all, it's the adventures we live that define our experience as a Witcher. And that's what we'd like to share with you today.
The Witcher Monster Slayer tells your stories and takes you on adventures in a completely novel way. It will be witchering like you've never seen before. Imagine facing an iconic task that only a Witcher can handle.
Who are you?
Lifting a curse that has turned an innocent child into a bloodthirsty Striga.
Since when does gold burn?
Few have ever succeeded in breaking the spell or killing this particular beast, though many have tried. In The Witcher Monster Slayer, this task will fall to you. Put your bravery to the test and see if you have the power to save the cursed child, where so many others have failed. But to rise to this challenge, you'll have to pay attention to the world around you, because the game plays out in real time. Like a true Witcher, you'll need to prepare, bide your time, and wait until nightfall for the fearsome Striga to appear. And from there, everything is in your hands.
Since the worldwide premiere is just around the corner, prepare your phone and be ready for July 21st, 2021. The Witcher Monster Slayer is going to be available for free both on Android and iOS, And you can also pre-register right now on Google Play and grab some cool stuff on release day. The path awaits you.
Bon, alors, maintenant je peux vous dire ce qui va se passer. Il va y avoir un point sur les figurines. Voilà, les figurines du monde de Witcher. Et ensuite, Henry Cavill. Donc on arrive vers la fin. Mais d'abord, un petit peu de musique. Ah oui, la musica. Let's go.
There's plenty to look forward to in the coming months or even years. But there's one topic that we haven't really touched upon during this edition of WitcherCon, and that's figurines. So find out next how these collectible pieces were created, what inspired.
Je vous l'avais dit, les figurines maintenant et ensuite Henry Cavill. Alors on a entreaperçu des figurines il y a quelques instants. Et bah là, a priori, on va voir peut-être comment elles sont faites, les voir de plus près, etc. Est-ce que vous êtes chaud pour les figurines de The Witcher? Salut mon Raph, j'espère que ça va bien. En tout cas, la BO est incroyable. Incroyable. Hey, bah oui, Henry Cavill, dans quelques minutes. Voilà, le processus créatif. Bon, franchement, il y aura eu des trucs très intéressants. Et comme ils avaient bien annoncé qu'il n'y aurait pas de nouveaux jeux de présenter, l'attente n'était pas non plus stratosphérique, on est bien d'accord. Donc, allez, vas-y, montre les figurines de grande qualité, on veut voir ça avec nos petits yeux. Les souris, les jeux. Ça a commencé depuis combien de temps? Il est 21h, il y a 2 heures déjà. Ah, je l'avais en plein pot parce qu'elle a l'air très détaillée. Il a carrément le katana. Ouais, c'est ça, c'est Japon féodal. La classe. Un samouraï errant. Ah bah cette figurine-là, voilà. Tout à l'heure, c'est ce que je disais, bon, elle est un peu classique comme ça. Elle est magnifique. Ah oui.
When we revealed Ronin Geralt, the feedback from fans was amazing. That gave the art team a lot of confidence to look deeper into this setting inspired by Japan's history, see what other aspects we could explore. We went on to do so with Ciri and the Kitsune. We wanted to make Ciri look and feel powerful toute la gamme Japon féodal. But also incredibly elegant. Her stance is tall and proud, very confident. And her traditional bright yellow yukata emphasizes that as well. And like Geralt, the character of Ciri is similar to what we know from the games, but the setting gives her a different essence. By taking Ciri and building this Japanese scene around her, it also feels like it adds to her mythology too. After all, she's the lady of space and time.
J'ai l'impression que vous êtes
I think she was
assez
the perfect
séduit.
follow-up to our first figure.
Je suis persuadé qu'un jour, on aura un standalone Ciri. C'est trop un personnage important.
To help us tell their stories and set the scene. Geralt's is a quiet moment as he hunts his way through the Koyasan's Okunoin cemetery, while Ciri's is more destructive, placing her in the ruins of destroyed shrine. We took our time to make the base as detailed as possible, especially when it comes to grounding them in the Japanese culture and mythology.
The creatures that accompany each character are another way we bring in additional Japanese influences that add to the story of each figure. The Ronin version of Geralt is accompanied by an owl, a friendly Tatarimoke spirit, as he prepares to battle evil Oni demons. Ciri, on the other hand, is followed by a wise kitsune fox with 5 tails. With its yellow, witchery eyes, it acts as a guardian and guide as Ciri takes on a dangerous mission to take on a powerful yokai. Working on Geralt and Ciri has given us a lot of new ideas for possible stories to capture in these standalone scenes. And now I am happy to share with you our latest addition to our family of figures, Yennefer. We've designed Yen as a kunoichi, a female ninja. The colors and the atmosphere fit her beautifully, and the ninjutsu style connects nicely with her character. When we envision Yennefer in this magical Japanese realm, the ninjutsu aura makes total sense for such a mighty sorceress. It balances a mystic atmosphere with unmatched skill. That's Yen all over. Similarly to Geralt and Ciri, Yen is also accompanied by her own creature, a Nekomata. This two-tailed cat acts as a Yennefer's familiar. For a kunoichi of such great poise, power, and magical knowledge, this agile little feline friend makes the perfect companion. Like we did with our previous figures, we've put a lot of love into designing this latest reimagining, and we can't wait to show you the final result in not too long. Enjoy the rest of the WitcherCon. Bye!
Now there's a person who's found their calling, and you know what? They're not alone. In the next installment of Humans of the Continent, we'll unveil another one of the invisible forces working passionately to make Season 2 the best it can be.
Whenever a cast member who's wearing lenses is scheduled to go on set, I'll be there. My name is Shruti Patel, and I'm responsible for dealing with all the contact lenses.
Alors ça, je m'y attendais pas.
The lenses are all supplied by Eye Ink FX. Christina Patterson, she's hand-painted every single one on the show. With the different worlds of the Witchers, there's been lenses in different worlds as well.
Pas des yeux très normaux.
Yennefer with the lenses.
Et effectivement, Raphaël, c'est pour toi.
And then when characters turn into like creatures, it's been great interacting with the cast members and seeing how all that world's been created. Going from makeup to lenses to actually costume and seeing them all ready to go and acting on set. And just that journey, it's great to see that.
I've been joined by the very lovely newbie. Paul, how are you enjoying your first WitcherCon?
I'm having a great time.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of been throwing you in right at the deep end, right from the get-go, like, into a con.
Oh, it's all fun. I'm happy to be here.
Well, good. You know, and it's been lovely to have you, I have to say. And we've seen some awesome
bon,
stuff
qu'est-ce que vous en avez pensé pour l'instant de cette WitcherCon? Ma foi, je trouve qu'en tout cas, il y avait beaucoup de choses, c'était assez complet. Et là, dans quelques instants, Henry Cavill. Raphaël qui dit c'est toujours difficile les lentilles pour les acteurs vu que les tournages durent des heures et des heures, c'est vrai. Surtout quand tu dois te battre, etc., où tu peux avoir de la poussière qui rentre dedans, et la poussière et les lentilles, c'est pas très bons amis.
Did you bond?
Oh, we did bond. We did bond. There was, you know, during the COVID time, some
vous trouvez ça plutôt chouette, hein,
but I'm just really excited to see what
pas incroyable dans le sens où si on attend des reveals de jeux, effectivement, oui, il n'y en a pas. Ça, c'est certain. Pour le reste, quand même beaucoup de coulisses intéressantes.
And I hope that it'll be equally gushy. Why don't we throw it over to the house band?
Allez, encore un petit interlude musical. Je vous laisse profiter. Et vous le voyez juste après, Henry Cavill.
Locks and
the call to hold you in a heated embrace. You flee, my dream come the morning. Your scent, berry start, lilac sweet. To a dream of raven locks and twisted stormy, of violet eyes glistening as you will. I know not if fate would have us live as one, or if by love's blind chance we've been born. The wish I whispered when it all began, did it forge a love you might never have found. You flee, my dream come the morning. Your scent, berry start, lilac sweet. To dream of raven locks and twisted stormy, of violet eyes glistening as you weep.
Henri
Thanks, Julia.
Cavill.
Thanks, Paul. Well, what would a WitcherCon
parti.
be without the Witcher himself? He's the man of the hour.
C'est
He's a
certain.
super fan who happens to look amazing in a white wig. It's Mr. Henry Cavill. Hey, buddy.
Allez.
Hey,
How you doing, Josh?
it's so good to see you, man. Congratulations on, this is the first WitcherCon. This means you've done something right.
Yes, yeah, apparently so. Apparently so. It's exciting, very exciting.
Does it feel like a bit of validation? Obviously, this property means so much to you. You are a
Blague à
Witcher
part, c'est un peu
fan.
bizarre parce que
But to
pourquoi est-ce
know
que
that
soudainement
the
c'est plus la nana qui fait les
fans,
interviews alors qu'elle a
came
tout
out
fait
of
depuis le
the
début,
forest
etc.
and validated
C'est une
this
autre
first
histoire.
season and are ready for more.
Ils sont peut-être pas dans la même
just
ville,
must mean the
pas au
world to
même
you.
timing.
Absolutely. It's, you know, when you go into a show like this, or an IP like this, after having played the games and read the books, and I love it as much as all of the fans out there, and so I do everything I can to
Le charisme.
represent Geralt in the best way possible, and to have something like this happening, and a second season, it's all very exciting and very validating, and I'm just glad that whatever I'm doing, whatever we're doing is entertaining.
By the way, thank you for welcoming me to your super chill house. This is like a very welcoming environment. It's exactly what I imagined Henry Cavill's place to be.
This is well, I just figured if we're going to do it anyway, I might as well do it at my place.
Yeah, I'm glad you're comfortable. I'm excited and a little scared at the same time.
It's okay. So just don't touch anything.
Okay. Yeah.
Mostly poisonous.
I believe it. I believe it. Your buddy, your new co-star Paul, was just gushing about you to a degree. Talk to me a little bit about, maybe is there any reciprocal gushing you want to get out of the way first of all, and what's it like to welcome new cast members to season 2? Is there an initiation at all when you join the Witcher cast?
Lambert, what a jolly nice chap. I really got on well with Paul, and I hope that I get to work with him a lot more in the years to come. It's initiation ceremonies or anything like that? No, not really. It was obviously a slightly off-kilter year, and so the regular initiations of maybe hanging out in an English pub and having a Sunday roast weren't quite the thing. But we obviously, I hope they enjoyed working with me, but I definitely enjoyed working with them, and it was a lot of fun hanging out here.
We were joking before, we were looking at some footage before we got started of how ambitious the production is on this. I mean, the scale is gigantic. Is that the biggest difference between the production of something like Witcher and other things? You've been on major productions before, but is that the key difference, just sort of the practical sets, the environments? What would you say are the big differences?
I think it's more of a genre difference than anything else, because anything of scale is always scaled in its own way. And I mean, whether it be Superman, which it's contemporary, but it has the other fantastic elements to it, the superhero elements, which make things feel gigantic, even though it's just a gigantic green room. It's taken months of prep of wire work to get there. And then there's the genre stuff like this, where it's all sets and costumes and wigs and hours and makeup, and that makes that feel particularly large. But then there's also the Mission Impossibles. And Tom doesn't do anything on a small scale. And Chris McQuarrie sort of does everything, so when he does it, it is magnificent. And everything is big in its own way, really. But yeah, with this, it's you notice it because you're walking onto a set like this, and that's in a room filled with other sets like this. And it is extraordinary. It's a fun experience.
Lauren and Paul were also talking earlier about sort of the bond between Geralt and other Witchers, and how you kind of equated it in some ways to your own family dynamics with your brothers. Is that fair to say? Was that a useful tool for you, applying your own experiences in your own family to even this fantastical world?
I think when it comes to the Witcher family, if you will, it's the same kind of family tag that I would put on not only my actual brothers of blood, but the people who are my friends, who I call brother. And it's not something I just throw around. And those people who I do call that, they are very, very close to me. They are akin to a brother. And so that's more so how I would probably refer to as the Witchers, because we come from all different walks of life. We have our different opinions, our different modus operandi, and we don't necessarily all agree. And because we don't have that family thing, which is, you don't choose family, and so there's a lot more. Again, this is a greater debate, but with family, there tends to be a lot more in the way of highs and lows, because maybe it's because you always imagine family's going to be there. And
no matter what.
And even if you do something fairly horrific to one of them, and it's with these guys, it's not necessarily like that. Because yes, they are a small guild, if you will, a very small and an increasingly smaller group of people. But it's because they are a unit like that, and because they have this shared sense of sorrow and loss, and the world is changing, and they are becoming more and more obsolete, that they do have a kinship there, but not the same way that I may have with my brother Nick, Charlie, Simon, Piers, but maybe in the same way I may have with someone else like Ben.
One of the major themes of the show, maybe the biggest theme, is destiny. And I don't know about you, but this feels like this was destined to happen for you. You've chased this role. This was very important to you. Do you believe in destiny? Do you believe you were destined to play a role in The Witcher?
I have been asked this question a lot, and I've definitely debated fate and destiny with my team, and we all have very different opinions. But one of my theories, and I don't even know if I'm allowed to call it destiny when this is my theory, is that everyone has a destiny. It's about achieving one's destiny. One has to unlock certain levels, if you will, before you can use that skill tree, if to use a fantasy gaming term. And
Le mec est un gamer.
That's what I feel destiny is. And so I had to achieve a certain number of things to get this opportunity to play Geralt. It wasn't going to happen if I just lay on my sofa eating pizza.
You have to meet the moment. You have to rise to, yes.
Absolutely.
You set yourself up for success, and you got there.
Yes, in a way, yeah. I've been very fortunate. I've been given a lot of opportunity, and it's about running with those. And with The Witcher, yes, I pursued it very hard. I was very excited about the concept of playing Geralt, and I got the opportunity to do it. And it's something I'm thankful for.
I mean, we've talked about this before.
Très important quand même, hein, ce qu'il a dit.
Career.
Les choses se font pas toutes seules. Hein. C'est pas en restant sur un canapé à manger des pizzas que vous devenez Gérald de Rive, Superman et consorts. Il a bossé pour ça. Hein. Il a fait des choses, peut-être aussi sûrement des sacrifices.
Does Tom know?
On n'a pas tout toujours.
But this one does. This must stand apart for you because yes, there are things like Superman and Sherlock Holmes, and those have meanings to the entire world. But something about this, my sense is that this means something different to you. Did it mean something more when you landed this role versus these other fantastic opportunities?
Yes, the other opportunities were very important to me. I loved Superman before I played Superman.
Right.
But there's something about having had a hobby, and a major part of that hobby was playing The Witcher,
right.
Witcher 3 specifically, and then reading books and fantasy and loving that sort of thing, and then finally getting to play one of those characters was, yes, it does somehow make it more personal, and it makes it something which I fight longer and harder for sure.
Talk to me a little bit about growing up, and I know this about you, that again, you lived and breathed this stuff, but as a kid, what did fantasy mean to you, and how were you introduced to it?
My dad would read me books, and I have this vivid memory. I don't remember the words, but I remember lying in bed and hearing his voice read. He had a great reading voice, still does.
Wait, is your dad still reading to you at night?
Yeah, I mean, I can't read. Yeah, I have people who read my scripts to me, and I just repeat the lines on camera.
The secret to every success, yeah.
I have one of those little earwigs. My dad would read to me, and he got me into the fantasy genre and the sci-fi genre, and then very much computer games as well. And so reading fantasy has been, that's what I read. Those are the books that people have, all the different kind of books they read when they have time off. And when I have time off, when I have free time, when it's not scripts, it's fantasy books and sci-fi books.
Did you, as a kid, how were you expressing yourself? Were you drawing or writing? Were you play acting as a kid? How did it kind of manifest?
I don't think I drew or wrote. I'm sure my mum would be able to tell you a story otherwise about that. I do remember having a creative lean where there was one time I was reading a book about Douglas Bader, and I loved the book, and I think I was about 11, so practicing for my common entrance exams, which gets you into secondary school. And there was a question which said, write an essay on this sentence or this picture. And it was a picture of a clown. And so then I then wrote a story about a Spitfire pilot who started off as a clown.
Sure.
And so that was very much my lean in writing. I would always be quite creative and try and write what I wanted to write. But more to your question, as I did in art class, build a little castle out of clay because I wanted that for my Warhammer miniatures. I was collecting, I think, wood elves at the time, and I wanted that so I could put them on the castle. Of course, it's completely wrong. They don't live in castles, they live in the woods. But it was still something which I did, and I think that's how I expressed myself. And so it was storytelling and verbally and building castles out of clay.
You're still doing that,
and
metaphorically
cool
now. Yeah. Gaming. You mentioned gaming, which obviously is a key component of how you entered this world.
Le jeu vidéo.
Do you remember when you first played The Witcher 3 and what sucked you in?
I actually played The Witcher 2 first.
Okay.
And I was very busy at the time. I read some good reviews, dipped into it, and I was like, okay, I can't immerse myself just yet, and so dipped out and never got back into it.
Right.
And so Witcher 3, when it came out, I just got stuck in, and the world building in that is so fantastic. They've set their rules. The graphics in there still stand up today. I mean, I've been playing on my 3090, and thank you very much.
C'est pas bien ce qu'il fait. C'est pas bien ce qu'il parce qu'il sait là comment on va réagir nous. La 390 là. Oh.
He's the Witcher, guys. Cut him some slack.
Yeah, it's the Witcher. And so I think the graphics still stand up, and that's what I loved the most about it, was the immersion in that world. And you could really feel like you could just go do anything. And the detail was extraordinary. The characters, the storytelling, the nature of what everything was so wonderful. And all from Sapkowski's amazing work. And it was an adaptation, yes, but a sort of a post-adaptation.
Right.
It's post the books, but they're also doing some stuff which kind of happened during the books. And I thought that was a nice way of doing it, because they're not really changing any major rules, but it's more like an ode to that world.
Yeah.
And I think they did an amazing job.
Well, it's a great example of this series, this IP, as you say, honoring kind of the medium in every form. The books work as the books, the games work as the games, and your show works as the show. And they're not literal adaptations of each. They're each embracing the form they're a part of.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a very intelligent way to go. So have you played the game since being The Witcher, and is that an odd experience?
I funnily enough, not long ago, fired it up again, and just because I wanted to have a look. And I don't know if I told you this, it may have been you, but I played the game through a couple of times, both on the second hardest difficulty, Blood and Broken Bones, I think it is, and then Death March, which is the not fun way of playing the game. And so I thought, you know what, I'm gonna have some not fun way of playing the game. And I definitely need to re-warm myself up before I get into that. It took me 3 goes to get past the ghouls at the beginning. And I was not impressed with myself. So I may go back to Blood and Broken Bone and then have a go at it again, because I haven't finished the expansions.
Right.
And it'd be nice to actually go back there and play through the expansions.
So the series is announced that they're developing a series, and what does Henry Cavill, this obsessive lover of gaming and the specific game and this actor, do? Do you immediately call up Team Cavill and be like, let's make this happen? How did it go down?
Yeah, I called up Team Cavill, I called up my agents, and I said, guys, I hear this is happening. Let's get on top of this. Let's get ahead of this before anyone else jumps at the opportunity. And so they were calling and calling, and I believe it was at Netflix almost immediately. And they said, look, we haven't even got a showrunner yet. We haven't got anything yet. So come back later.
Right.
And eventually Lauren was brought on as showrunner, and so we kept on calling, and then I went to go meet her, and that was our first meeting. And then I actually didn't get the role. It was a, you know what, it's thank you, but no thanks. And then they went through a full casting process. And then I think then they went, oh, actually, let's maybe revisit that.
Right.
And ended up working out in my favor.
Wow.
So I went from heartbreak to feeling quite good about it.
I was going to say, that must have been crushing at the time.
It was a little crushing. It was a little crushing, because I actually hadn't read the books until Lauren had mentioned them to me. So Lauren introduced me to the books, and I was like, oh my goodness me, I thought the books were like a play off the games, because they all had the game cover on. And so I then went and read them, and I thought, these books are absolutely spectacular. I read them all in record time.
Wow.
And I was literally landing on in a plane, landing at one stage. I think it was reading A Shard of Ice, and I didn't want to get up from my seat, even though everyone was moving. And I was like, no, I haven't finished this. You don't know what's happening. and so then I got the news, and I thought, oh, okay, well, it's understandable.
Sure.
Maybe that's not where they want to go with it. To have Superman playing your character is definitely an understandable choice. And so it was a heartbreak, yeah. But then later down the line, the opportunity popped up again.
When you read for it, when you started to kind of give your take on the role, did you know what you wanted to do with Geralt? Did you have an idea of like what it sounded like, what the voice was, mannerisms, physicality, or did that take some time?
Physicality and mannerisms I find take time, because it's about living in the skin of the character, and unless you're doing rehearsals all day long, which often isn't the case, it's about time on screen and time interacting, and then you find it, and then you find that place where the character sits within yourself. Voice-wise, I do remember saying to Lauren, so for the rehearsal with Alec and Lauren, and not rehearsal, for the audition, and I said, do you want me to put a bit of rasp to my voice or anything?
Right.
And they're like, no, just your normal voice. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I was like, that's a cool way to go. And did that, and obviously got the role. And then I found throughout shooting, there was one, I think it was episode 3, it's actually King Foltest, that scene where I lock everyone out of the room and walk back in.
Yeah.
I didn't do that intentionally. That happened by accident, and that was after the Christmas break. And then afterwards, I was like, oh my God, I just played a whole scene in the wrong voice. And I realized that voice made a lot of things sit better. when it came to delivery of certain lines and delivery of certain dialogue. And I thought, actually, I kind of prefer this. And I know it's very similar to Doug Cockle's amazing work. And that was definitely a concern of mine. I thought, oh, I don't want to seem like I'm plagiarizing another professional's extraordinary work. And I had a look at it, had a listen to it, and I thought, actually, they are different enough. It's clearly inspired by. But I did my own thing, and then I spoke to Alec and I spoke to Lauren, and they both said, no, it's okay, actually. If you want to do that, we can go with that, and we'll do the rest, redo the rest. We actually ended up reshooting a lot anyway, so I could go back to do the voice, which felt natural to me.
Is it a tough voice to kind of maintain through production?
No, it's not. Okay. Surprisingly not. It's it sounds like it is.
Yeah.
But it's about just finding that. I mean, season 1, I was still trying to find it.
Sure.
And you can definitely tell when I have. But in season 2, it's not difficult to do at all. It's actually quite easy.
What about the moment when, I'm sure you went through a lot of iterations of like tweaking the look, of making sure it's exactly what everybody wanted it to be.
Yeah.
Do you remember a specific moment of seeing yourself in the mirror and knowing that you were satisfied, the production was satisfied?
Well, we went through a lot, and I feel like Geralt's look found itself throughout the season. I think it started off in a place which was perhaps the nose was a little too close to the painting. It was like, yeah, this is great. And then released to the world, and the world's like, what is this? And you're like, oh God, yeah, what is that? That's a good point, actually. And so I'm glad that happened, because it gave me a chance to just start to find it, take a step back from the painting and go, right, okay, I need to really focus and concentrate here. And not that I wasn't, but I need to get back to big picture.
Yep.
And Jackie Rathore, who does my hair, she's my hairstylist. She was in charge of the wig, and she didn't get to build the wig. And so then she kind of adopted it, and then she worked in it and worked in it. She was taking it home every evening taking it home. She was dreaming about that darn thing. and then eventually I think she crushed it. So it's through the season you can tell, and you're like, that's where it starts to look really good. And that's after Jackie's had her hands on it for a while.
Have you kept a wig as a souvenir, or is that the last thing you want to see after you're done with production?
I haven't kept one yet, no, because they're actually quite valuable.
I'm sure.
Because Jackie's done so much work on them, that I would never want to take one in case I damage it or something, or someone spills coffee on it. It's not a great look.
You told me once that you're a details guy. What are the details that you wanted to see in this show as a Witcher fan? What do you take pride in?
It's, for me, the important thing this season was to bring Geralt as close to the books as the vision and the plot would allow. And I wanted him to be more verbose, more of an intellectual, more representative of a man who's lived 70 years and has a philosophical lean. And can be mopey at times, but is also, he's wise, he's been around, and he's a nice guy, despite the fact that he has moments of unpleasantness and is very capable of doing extraordinary violence. It's his intentions are often, and that's the tragedy of the character, pure.
Right.
And so I wanted to really reflect that as much as possible. And it's very easy to fall down the line of him being the grumpy snowman, and there's a comedy aspect to that, and I wanted to lean away from that. I wanted it to be less about, I played the season 1 way deliberately, which was him out in the wilds and without the opportunity for vast swathes of dialogue. It's, I thought, best be the man who says less, because that seems like he's thinking more.
Right.
And that was the intention with that. But once you get into a scenario with Cirilla and the Witchers and his home space, and with those people who he already knows, then I was of the opinion that you had to let him be verbose and be philosophical and speak more and be intellectual, because that's what he is. He's not just a big old white-haired brute.
we started out by talking a little bit about just the nature of this, which is WitcherCon, the first WitcherCon, and really celebration of this show, this IP, and the fans. And I'm just curious for you, when the show dropped and the response was and has been as positive as it's been, like, were you out there looking at the memes? Were you looking at the responses, or was that a dangerous place for you to be? Or was it, I would imagine it would be thrilling to see all that, to see folks interacting with something you've put your heart and soul into.
Absolutely, yes. I was out there, I was looking at it all. The memes I found hilarious. I really did. I really enjoy that stuff. I do spend a lot of time sneaking around Reddit and reading all the forums, because that just the audience is who this is for.
Yeah.
And I listen to them, and I think it's very important to listen to an audience and see what everyone's saying. So even if you didn't nail it the first time, you can start to adjust, you can start to tweak, you can start to sort of caress it into something which does honor to the amazing material that Sapkowski created.
Yeah.
And so I was reading, positive and negative, and I think it's important to do it. It's really important.
Did you guys know that Toss a Coin to Your Witcher was going to become the earworm that it became?
I mean, yeah, it was pretty catchy, but I don't think, maybe in other rooms that were discussing these kind of things, they're like, this is definitely going to be a hit. But when I heard it the first time, I was singing it to myself when I was watching all the stuff before doing press and all sorts. And that was one of the things that stuck in my head. And so, yeah, I think I probably knew subconsciously, but just didn't actively say, this is going to be an earworm, for sure. Mark my words.
And now it's your ringtone on your phone, which is a choice.
It is. And Joey's the background.
So we know from a quiz earlier in the con about all the nicknames for your character. There are a bunch of them. I'm of the mind that more is more, so I want to propose to you some new nicknames for Geralt.
Cannot wait.
You can yay or nay them. We're friends here, it's all good.
Okay.
I think we're all good. We'll see.
Yeah, okay.
All right,
I have a boot dagger.
Cool. All right, let's take a look at a photo and I'll give you my take. Let's start with the first photo, please, of Henry.
Big tree guy.
Okay, I called this guy the sketchy Silverado.
You know what? The sketch, yes.
I mean, it's white here technically, I suppose, but I mean...
No, but there's lots of silver there.
There is a lot of silver. I feel like if you go into a bar and say 1 beer for the sketchy Silverado, you're always gonna get a beer.
Yeah, or you'll be led into some crazy dungeon downstairs for special clientele.
Exactly, a special club.
But this, if I walked outside of a bar and that guy was standing there, definitely the sketchy Silverado.
Yeah, I might go to a different bar if I saw this guy outside the bar, but yes. Let's go to the next one. This I call the bathing brute.
Yes.
It's accurate.
It is accurate.
It's
He's definitely bathing.
This is a case where less said the better, I feel like. The audience just wants to probably just take this in for the moment.
Yeah, let them soak like I was.
Let's go to another very literal one. This is, I call this Roach Rider.
Roach Rider sounds like something from some post-apocalyptic world.
Yeah.
Like sort of from the Atlantic Basin and the Roach Riders.
The Roach Riders took us out. Or it's like an insect repellent company.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's too much about Roach and not enough about you, now that I think about it.
If someone takes this and they put some kind of, in Photoshop, just some big spray cans.
Exactly. This is a new business opportunity for you. Yeah. Next one, please. Tall, dark, and growly.
I would say tall, dark, and slimy.
Yeah, that must be a fun day on set. That must be a happy memory.
Oh, actually, I've got a story about that.
Please.
If we have time.
Yeah.
It's this day, Cal had run out of my trailer, and there was these metal stairs outside the trailer, and they all had holes in them, to obviously so they don't become flooded with rain.
Right.
Cal got one of his claws stuck in it as he jumped off, and all I heard him do was yelp, and I thought, oh, he's landed badly on his shoulder or something, and went up to him, and he was looking shamefaced and holding his paw up, and he had ripped his claw all the way off apart from a little bit, and lots of blood, all sorts. We had just been called to set, and I was going, okay, how do we do this? Leah, could you please take him to the vet, and I'll go to set. She said, you gonna be okay? And I was like, yeah, no, I'm good. Just let's make sure Cal is looked after and he's gonna be okay. I get a call as I'm getting gooped up. And Leah says, right. Vet says, should be fine. They're going to remove the nail. And they need to put him under. And the vet has just warned and said, look, dog's going under. They may not necessarily wake up. Wow. And so I'm sitting there thinking, I'm never going to see my dog again.
Oh my God.
And I'm here on set doing this rather than with him. And this was a particularly rough moment, but it was freezing cold outside, right? There wasn't really a warm tent set up, even though I'd been covered in, I think this was yogurt, mostly yogurt and something else, and some kind of fruit, I think. And little bits of stuff to make it look like intestines. And I stood in front of the lights outside, and I was like, this is the good warm spot. Right. And I realized I was smoking because it was so cold outside and all the liquid had heated up in my costume. And so I then said, look, we need to take advantage of this. I think it was Alex who was shooting this. And he said, this is amazing. And so if you watch it again, you'll actually see smoke coming off me throughout the scene. It's
so you're Smoky Yogurt. That's your nickname. That's your
Smoky Yogurt. Yes.
And Cal's okay. That most importantly.
Cal is fine.
As a new dog owner, that story really hit me.
The story. Yeah, he died.
No, don't even joke. Let's go to the next one. I feel like you have a future in Vegas as the Magic Man.
Oh yes. It's like, pick a card. Not that card!
The choreography's already there. You just need some backup dancers.
I said 4 of clubs.
Exactly. And the last one, I call this is my name if I were a Witcher. Let's just call him Jerry. Good old Jerry.
He's the guy at the bar. He's always there, same spot.
Jerry.
Bit weird. Yeah, smells kind of funny. Jerry. It's Jerry. Don't worry about Jerry.
I wasn't going weird. I thought he was cool, but okay.
He could be cool. Depends on what you think. Nothing wrong with smelling funny, folks.
Nothing wrong. That's a PSA for you.
Yeah.
Okay, we can take that off and continue. Those are some new nicknames for The Witcher. Congratulations.
I love it. Those are good nicknames.
Let's tease a little bit more on season 2, if we could. Yep. We have a bit of a way to go, and you alluded to this a little bit earlier, but can you elaborate a little bit more on Geralt's journey, his relationship with Ciri, for instance? What are we going to see? He's a father figure, presumably?
Yes, as I said before, Geralt he's a wise man. He's 70 years old, and there was some discussions about him sort of struggling with everything. And I thought, there's definitely going to be a different. This is a different turn for him.
Yeah.
But he's also wise. He's 70. He's probably seen a few children in his time, and out and about in the world, and knows what they're like. And he's heard stories from people, and he's interacted with people who are far more difficult than maybe Cirilla will be.
Yeah.
And he, I wanted him to be warm. If not a father figure, then definitely an older brother figure. And it to have this kind of just a caring nature to him, but also tough, because he's not going to be super soft. He himself has lived a very hard life, and she is about to live a very hard life. She's no longer a princess, and so he's not going to be softening her up any further. He's going to be being straight down the line. And that was very important to me, that Geralt had a sense of humor, while also being tough and also being intellectual and wise. And so I tried to lean into that as much as possible when it came to the relationship with Ciri.
Another important relationship with Jaskier. Where are we going to see?
Well, I can't really say too much about that.
Okay.
I will say that I absolutely love working with Joey, and Joey is very well versed in the books and the lore and the IP. And so it's always a pleasure sitting on set with him, waxing lyrical.
Another one you probably can't say much about, but everyone wants to know, of course, there were fireworks the first season between Yennefer and Geralt.
Yes.
What can we expect? Presumably, hopefully, we'll see her again.
Again, I can't talk about much, but people are fans of the IP, in for plenty of surprises.
Let's talk about a familiar character, but one we haven't seen yet, Vesemir.
Yes, indeed.
Are you excited for the fans to finally see this relationship depicted on screen?
Absolutely, yes. Kim and I, we worked with each other a lot to try and create a bond between the two, and something that was important, and something that was genuinely caring. and not so simple, not so basic, not just like ugh men and we do this and we kill stuff. We wanted it to be sensitive, and because I believe that real men are very sensitive. They are very capable of doing things which can be like violent if possible or necessary, but at the same time they are incredibly capable of love and caring amongst men and towards children and family and all sorts. And so we wanted to make sure that that was a core element to their relationship, and it wasn't too driven by any kind of conflict which was being introduced.
The big question, obviously the fans really want to know, in season 2, is there going to be an earworm as delicious as toss a coin to your Witcher?
There is something pretty darn good, actually. I mean, Joey's very talented, and there is something pretty darn good, but only time will tell.
This is just from the fans, not from me. More bathtub scenes, or is Geralt now taking up showers? What's happening with his bathing routine now?
Yeah, Geralt only showers from now on. He invented the shower,
right?
For this very reason. No, actually, there are people. Myself personally, there's no bathtub scenes, but people not be disappointed. There's plenty of man flesh to be observed.
One key relationship we haven't talked about Roach, season 2. Now I think you have something, maybe a treat for the audience, actually, a little peek.
Yes, a little sneak peek at Roach for season 2. I will.
That's a gorgeous shot. What do you remember? What can you say about this Roach and this shot and this scene?
Well, this is Roach. This is Zeus from the Roach who we all know and love, and this scene is right in the beginning. And they've actually done a very good job here, because it really looks like winter snow.
Yeah.
I think it might have been, oh no, it was quite cold that day, but it definitely wasn't snowing that much. But yeah, this is just a beautiful piece of work. I think this was Romain's work as DOP, and he is extraordinary, very talented man. And this is myself and Cirilla at the beginning of our journey.
Had you worked a lot with horses prior to Witcher, and how have you been?
I've done horse work over the years, yes, but for The Witcher, because of the Roach relationship, and I didn't know how far they were going to go with it, how much riding was going to be done, but I wanted to be well-versed, and it was about literally getting back in the saddle. It had been many, many years. And I had the wonderful opportunity of working with the horse masters there and in Hungary, and I had an amazing time. I was riding 6 hours a day to begin with. And then when I came on to season 2, I was getting up at like 5 in the morning, sometimes 4, just to get up and ride before work. So I was using that as my cardio, basically. So doing an hour and a half of riding and just getting better and better and better if I could. And had the great opportunity of working with everyone there. So I was very fortunate.
Awesome. So we, as you would expect, we have some fan questions for you. So I'm gonna hit you with these. Some of these you probably can't say much, but we're gonna see what we can get. The first one's from Melissa on Twitter. Mm-hmm. She asks, there it is. How did you approach Geralt's emotional state after the events of season 1? How will you losing Yen and Jaskier, but finding Ciri at the end, affect Geralt in season 2?
Well, for me, it's always important to draw from the source material, and I wanted to try and keep it as close as possible to that. Yes, the loss of Yennefer is a great blow for Geralt, and it's something which he buries deep. But he's also, as I said, a man of action, a wise man, and so I should probably stop saying man, mutant, and his focus is Cirilla. And he has to push his grief down and away and to one side, because that's not what this is about anymore. He's lost plenty of people. Yeah. He's lost Witcher brothers, and Yen is particularly an emotional center for him, but he's got a job to do, and he's got to do it. And so it was an underlying thing, but I actually focused more so, Melissa, on being there for Cirilla.
Jessica on Facebook wants to know, what is your favorite Witcher book in the series and why?
I mean, I haven't read the full series in a while since just before I got the role, actually. But I have read the first 3 books a number of times, and I think it still stands. And there could be a lot of reasons for this. That Blood of Elves was actually one of my favorite books. Perhaps it's just because we spend so much time with Geralt in different stories in the first 2 books, and finally we get one continuous time with him. Perhaps it was also the fantasy lover and gamer in me who got to see the background of the witches and got to see where they came from. And that was really, really interesting to me. And also to get an insight to Geralt's personal beliefs and where he stands, and when it comes to world politics, when it comes to the elves and man, and indeed gnomes and dwarves as well, what his opinion is and how he educates Cirilla on these points. And so for me, Blood of Elves I thought was a great book. I really, really enjoyed it, and that's one which always stuck with me.
At Real Ermin on Twitter wants to know, what have you learned from the first season of The Witcher that you are bringing into the second season?
Real Ermin. Do you reckon their name is Ermin, or that?
This is the real Ermin. This isn't just a fake
yeah,
Ermin. This is the real one.
Yeah, the real Ermin. Please stand up. Exactly. What have you learned from the first season of The Witcher?
You had a lot of time, presumably, between first season to the second season.
That wigs take a lot of work.
Yeah.
Wigs are important. Yeah.
This is a valuable lesson.
And make sure you've got a good wig worker.
Yeah, always.
Jackie nailed it.
At Amanda T on Twitter wants to know, will we get to see Geralt use more signs this season?
We will, yes. It was something which and I'm sure everyone else wanted to introduce a bit more, was Geralt's capabilities. And exploring the witches. There are definitely some cases where discussions were had and another decision was made, and there were discussions that had other opportunities, and then indeed a sign was used.
Excellent. Viscount Yask wants to know on Twitter, we have a lot of new characters announced for season 2. As a big fan of the original material, which of them are you most excited to see?
I don't know if I can actually say there's any one which I'm more excited than the others, because there are so many fantastic characters, especially as anyone who loves the games, you really get to explore those characters in different ways. But Vesemir was always an important one to me.
Sure.
And that relationship was essential. The relationship between Geralt and the other witches was something which mattered greatly to me, and I loved the way just to see again Blood of Elves when reading it and seeing their interaction and the way they become these wonderful, loving uncles to Ciri was touching, because they are potentially these monstrous beings who live in the mountains, and actually they are quite soft and lovely and kind.
Before we end this, I'm hoping on behalf of the audience that maybe you've brought something special for them.
No.
Damn it.
It's good to see everyone. Thank you very much. No, just joking. We have a special teaser trailer for all of you.
So, I'm your destiny?
You're much more than that, Cirilla.
Allez! Le petit teaser trailer de fin, histoire de se mettre bien.
The world is changing.
La scène qu'on a vue là il y a quelques instants. En photo. Les décors ont l'air plus variés.
Finally.
Je vous rappelle, hein, c'est le 17 décembre que cette saison 2 va arriver. J'étais avec vous, hein, les amis, juste comme vous, j'écoutais tranquillement, je buvais les paroles de Superman.
Facing your fear is not easy, but I am here for you. When I say run.
Inspiré, c'est un mix d'inspiration hein, quand même, parce que c'est inspiré des livres, mais aussi des jeux sur certains aspects. Jeux qui sont inspirés des livres, évidemment. Mais qui ont apporté quand même certains éléments qui n'existaient pas, visuellement parlant.
Destiny has said that the world outside these walls is a dangerous place.
Un endroit dangereux. Le pouvoir est l'objectif. Des décors à la Death Stranding. Ça a l'air d'être... Le niveau d'ambition a l'air plus élevé que dans la première saison. Franchement, là, alors c'est très très rapide, etc. Mais les décors ont l'air plus vastes, plus travaillés. Yennefer.
Well, we can't see the audience at home, but on behalf of them, I think they're going something like this.
I was really hoping you were going to fully commit to that.
It looks awesome. It looks epic. It's everything you want and more. Congratulations. December 17th. We have a date. Can't come soon enough. Thank you, as always, buddy, for bringing your passion to all your projects, but especially this one that means so much to you and the fans out there. It's a pleasure, as always, to catch up with you.
Thank you. It's been great to see you. And there's something I've been dying to say. Sorry, this is completely... I just... Every day on set, on this set, I was grinding my teeth because there was no one who would know the reference that I'm about to give you. And I mean, even if you don't get it, there's some cameras here and there are people at home who will get it.
Okay.
Do you know Warhammer at all, Warhammer 40,000, that kind of stuff, that
Not
world?
the greatest expert,
Okay,
so...
that's
yeah.
fine, that's fine. There's people at home who are just gone, oh yeah.
Yeah, they're leaning in now. Go for it.
That chandelier looks like a Blackstone fortress. And
Le mec est
I
vraiment
know that
geek.
no one
Et là, c'est le petit
on
détail
set would
qui
have
font
got
que
that. And so
les super geeks de
I have
Warhammer
been
vont
biting
faire
my tongue about
hey,
that.
c'est un vrai, lui.
It sound like too much of a crazy
You're in the
person.
right place at WitcherCon to
Yeah.
say that. You found your people, my friend.
Yeah, and I mean, the set design of Andrew Laws is amazing.
I love it.
Et est-ce que vous êtes d'accord avec lui? Il a tout à fait raison, c'est un vrai.
Well,
Voilà.
as I said, it's all about passion, and I love how much you bring to this
Exactement,
project.
et c'est
and
cool.
it shows in the finished product.
Pousse-moi,
thank you again
Henri.
for your time, buddy.
Effrime.
Let's go back to Julia, who's going to wrap up this first WitcherCon for all of us.
Eh ben écoutez, on va retrouver Julia. C'était long, mais dense, et il y a eu beaucoup de choses quand même.
But you know what? I got the house band eagerly waiting in the wings. But before I hand it over to them one last time, I'd really like to take this opportunity to say thank you to everyone across the world for watching and making WitcherCon 2021 so special. Together, we followed the path, and it's led us to some pretty amazing things. You know, we've been on set, inside Care.
Bah écoutez, si on devait résumer un petit peu, il y a eu un moment, je trouve, vraiment super touchant quand les développeurs de The Witcher, le 1, le 2, le 3, ceux qui étaient là vraiment chez CD Projekt depuis le début, ont revécu plein de souvenirs initiaux. J'ai trouvé que c'était vraiment le moment le plus intéressant, moi en tant que passionné de jeux vidéo. L'interview d'Henri Cavill était vraiment top, hein. Il a été très généreux dans ses réponses, il a donné beaucoup. On voit que véritablement il connaît la série, il l'apprécie, il n'est pas là par hasard du tout, c'est un vrai passionné. Et on va finir en musique, en chanson. Allez. Allez. Et bien voilà, restez à l'écoute, le meilleur rediffusion de la WitcherCon dans quelques heures. Bon, eh bien ma foi, il y avait quand même beaucoup de choses. Qu'est-ce que vous en avez pensé? On va se faire le petit sondage de fin, bien sûr. Qu'avez-vous, c'est pas comme ça que ça s'écrit. Qu'avez-vous pensé de cette première WitcherCon? Top. Bien. Pas mal. Super bof. Allez hop, c'est vous qui allez pouvoir me le dire. Donc on a vu des figurines, dont celle-ci, hein, les figurines ambiance romain. On a vu des teasers de la série qui arrivera donc le 17 décembre prochain sur Netflix. Virgule, il y a aussi quand même une autre série The Witcher sur Netflix en animé qui arrivera le 23 août. Fin août, 23 août je crois. Et il y a eu surtout de très longs panels, tables rondes, avec énormément d'intervenants qui nous ont permis d'en apprendre plus sur la création de la série, mais aussi sur la création des jeux. Voilà, donc je me doute bien que ça doit pas être exactement ce que tout le monde attend, mais à la fois, c'est super intéressant quand on est passionné par cet univers, c'est une sorte de grand making-of. Allez, vous êtes déjà 600 à avoir voté, et pour l'instant à 59%, vous avez jugé que c'était top, voilà, top. Et écoutez, 31% bien, donc ça fait du 90, je suis surpris, je m'attendais pas à un tel plébiscite. 90% d'entre vous, globalement, trouvent que c'était super, enfin entre top et bien, quoi. Pas mal 7%, super bof 4%. À la fois, vous me direz, ceux qui sont restés, comme vous, jusqu'à la fin, c'est qu'a priori, c'est ceux qui ont trouvé ça pas mal non plus. Mais, a priori, pour les fans vraiment de The Witcher, c'est plutôt positif, en tout cas... c'est ce qui semble. Exactement, la majorité silencieuse a aimé pour la gratter. En fait, tu sais quoi? Souvent, en fait, la vérité, c'est l'inverse de la tendance du chat ou des commentaires. Quand tu vois une vidéo où les gens ils déglinguent tout, tu peux te dire que c'est pas forcément si mauvais que ça. En fait, c'est un grand paradoxe, mais c'est comme ça. Xam, tu sais Julien, on peut pas voter depuis nos télés, oblige d'ouvrir le téléphone. Oui, ça, c'est YouTube, effectivement, il faut qu'ils mettent à jour avec les télécommandes. Peut-être, on verra. Mais oui, tu peux le suivre, et puis tu ouvres ton téléphone, et puis clac, tu peux voter comme ça. Vincent qui a kiffé. Clark Kent de Rive était génial, nous dit Omar. Exactement, Superman, c'est quand même Superman. Voilà. Krinek, ça fait plaisir de voir qu'Henry Cavill soit un aussi grand fan, cet homme est incroyable. C'est vrai qu'il a une voix, il a une présence. C'est un gosse beau, on peut le dire. Et en plus, il joue bien. Donc, il a l'air sympathique. En plus, c'est un geek. Enfin, effectivement, quand même. Mais quels sont les défauts de cet homme? Il en a peut-être pas. Hein. Il en a peut-être pas. On n'est pas obligé d'avoir des défauts. Hein. Généralement, on en a tous. Moi, j'en ai. Mais lui, non. Évidemment, c'est Superman à la fois. C'était une très belle WitcherCon Purple. En plus, c'était la première, donc je veux dire, il y a des choses qui pourront être dites, redites, précisées ultérieurement. Super conférence en ta compagnie, Kira. Merci beaucoup, les schmecs, pour les fans de l'univers. C'était vraiment une conférence intéressante. C'est top. Willow, très bonne conférence. Vivement la mage next gen. Ouais. Pascal, merci Julien pour ce live, c'était classe cette conférence. Et écoutez, merci, j'avais vraiment envie de la suivre. J'espère, je croise les doigts quand même qu'il n'y aura pas trop. En tout cas, j'espère qu'elle sera disponible au replay, hein, parce que c'était, ma foi, long, mais super intéressant. Normalement, j'ai fait la demande pour que Netflix whitelist, mais c'est pas sûr, on verra. Je tiens au courant. De toute manière, si vous la voyez plus, vous aurez compris. Maurice, j'espère qu'ils vont mettre Henry Cavill sur la next-gen. Oui, parce qu'il y a eu quand même une information concernant la mise à jour next-gen. On n'a pas la date, la confirmation que c'est cette année. Par contre, en revanche, il va y avoir des DLC gratuits intégrant des éléments de la série Netflix dans le jeu. Voilà. Merci Habib. Merci si ça t'a plu. Merci Laurent. Ah bah oui, non mais alors il y a des moments où j'ai commenté, d'autres moins, etc. Quand c'était vraiment des interviews, je trouve que... Enfin, j'ai pas grand-chose à dire en plus qu'eux, quoi. C'est eux les stars, quoi. Donc, on débrief ensuite et c'est top. Voilà en tout cas ce que je pouvais vous dire. Merci d'avoir été là. Ouais, j'ai tenu 3 heures, effectivement. Je m'attendais pas à ce que ce soit si long, mais on a été tous ensemble. Merci mon Raph d'avoir été ici. Merci Elodie. Merci Arnaud, Sébastien, Tageli, News Doudou, Noir, PMU Bistro, Guilamo, Beaumal, Sébastien, Pauline, Jason, voilà, je vous ai mis les sous-titres, histoire que tout le monde soit au top. Nico One, merci beaucoup. Rao, Destiny Life, Samir, Pascal, Ced, Kyo, Max. Ah, et au fait, n'oubliez pas, attendez, comment est-ce que je peux faire je vais juste faire un truc, je vais faire... Oh! Regardez, je vais faire ça, tac, 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 tac. Voilà, voilà, et attendez, ça revient. Il suffit de faire ça. Douk, 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 douk. Si vous êtes passionné de Destiny ou que vous avez une Xbox Series, etc., une Xbox, regardez sur mon Twitter, j'ai un concours super classe avec cette manette ultra collector. Il y en a 2 dans le monde. 2 dans le monde. C'est pas beaucoup quand même. Eh bien, vous pouvez la gagner. Et pour ça, il faut être abonné de ma chaîne YouTube. Bah, forcément, voilà. Et me suivre sur mon Twitter. Donc, let's go. Si ça vous intéresse, je vous mets le lien dans le chat. Hop là. Et vous pouvez participer comme ceci, comme cela. Voilà en tout cas ce que je pouvais vous dire. Je vous fais des gros bisous. Je vous souhaite un très bon week-end. Et alors, juste un truc. Pour les membres Insider, je vous mets une vidéo en avant-première là dans quelques instants. Donc restez bien au top. À très bientôt et vive notre passion du jeu vidéo. Ciao les amis, salut Cédric, Laurent, Arnaud, Elodie, Cuisto Gamer, Piven, Fedi, Anaïs, Lightning, Laurent, Zurakov, Duby, Émilie, Loïc, Maude, Pauline, Vincent, Sébastien, Duby, Raph, Tritax, Adèle, Yacine, Xavier, Ced, Alex, Michael, Fredo, Guillaume, Ahmed, Noir, Purple, Alpé, Samir, Sebi, Destiny Life. Destiny, a priori, tu dois aimer Destiny, bah tu peux aller foncer pour le concours. À très bientôt et vive notre passion du jeu vidéo. Ciao.